Ladies and gentlemen, live from London, it's 3DS Meetup TV.
And we're live.
Yay!
Hey.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Can we do that again with more enthusiasm?
It's always the most awkward, the most
Hi.
awkward part.
Yeah.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another 3DS London, our April show. Tonight is quite special because it marks our 1 year of 3DS London being on TV, being on screen actually, and it's kind of really cool because with all your support and with people who keep on watching us and being with us even virtually, it's kind of really cool for us and it's really special. I want to thank everyone who's involved, and I really want to thank our speakers tonight. And again, yes, it's really amazing how we managed to do like 12 shows on there without the actual physical drinks, which I really miss and can't wait to have. But anyway, enough with emotions. Hello from me. I'm Joanna, and I'm your host tonight with Nigel. And we have a lot of people on screen who I would ask to introduce themselves. So, yep, let's start with Nigel.
Start with me.
Yeah, because you're on my screen.
But everyone knows who I am. I'm Nigel. I do this and other stuff. Let's pass that on.
Okay, thanks.
Oh no, I've got one more thing to say. We are up to, what is it? We're almost up to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. So people who are watching tonight, can you subscribe? Go on, let's see you subscribe now. Hit us with a like. Let's try and reach 1,000 so we can start the community side of the YouTube channel as well. Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
Tom.
Good, thanks.
Hi, I'm Tom Spall. I run my own little company called Tom Spall Visuals, an architectural visualizer, and yeah, been doing this now for a little while now on the panel. It's quite good fun. That's it. Next.
Who's next?
I'll go next. I'm Nick. I'm founder of VMS Studio, a visualization studio based in London. I've been running it for about 8 years.
Hi, Tom Spall. I run my little company. Oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
We
Can hear Tom introducing himself again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't
So
very
it's
good
working.
first
So
time.
it's working.
Yep, that's good.
You can always count on people to tell you in the comments if the audio is not working. So
It's all good. John?
Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I go by the Formento creative small entity currently, and that's about that basically for now.
these are very brief. I was expecting a little more, flourish here, but
I can talk for the next half hour if you want. But no
we
one
know
wants to
about
hear
you,
from
Nigel.
me.
Jason, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm Jason. I'm from the D2. The D2 conference is in Vienna. And since we're keeping this short, that's all I'm going to say right now.
Okay, Olga?
Hi, I'm Olga. I'm a senior of cultural development and an artist at Hayes Davidson. And yeah, that's it. We're keeping it short today, aren't we?
Emma?
Hey, I'm Emma Fairchild. I currently am managing a visualization team in-house at WeWork.
And we have Simon.
Hi, everyone. Simon. I work at Hawkins Brown, firm of architects, and I manage their in-house team of visualizers.
Great.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we kind of know each other now. Yeah, of course, I wanted to thank our sponsors tonight, Autodesks, Sinai Software, and Cows Group for keeping us going through the last 1 year. It really means a lot to us. And I wanna say thank you to our speakers who kindly agreed to join us tonight. Thank you, guys. We are really looking forward to your presentations later on. But now we're gonna start with a bit of a little bit of news. So I want to share some news from my studio. So I work at Ink, a creative studio based in London, and we are looking for artists or people who maybe wants to change from architectural views to get into like more diverse work. So whoever's interested, give me a message and I can give you a little bit more of an introduction to what we do and who we are. And yeah, that's it from me. And I know Olga has a little bit of news, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, first of all, on the back what you just said, at Hayes Davidson, we are also looking for artists. So if there is anyone that would be interested in joining our team in London, please have a look at our website for more details and get in touch. Through there, send in your CV and portfolio. I'll share a link in a second on the YouTube chat. And another announcement I wanted to make, you probably all read a magazine that Nigel put together and published recently. And on there was diversity topic that was touched on, among other things. Oh yeah, we have a visual help from Nigel, the magazine. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that Hayes Davidson is actually hosting a diversity webinar called Diversity, What Can We Do? It's on Thursday, 22nd of April. There is some updates about that on our social media, so follow us on Instagram at Hayes Davidson to find out more. It's basically a bunch of guests invited to discuss it's going to be like a series of talks focusing on diversity and inclusion hosted by HD, and it will provide an opportunity to hear from a range of professionals across different industries, and will focus on the importance of diversity and equality, what it means in the workplace, and you can hear some examples of best practice. It's a free event, although we do encourage people to donate to Blueprint, which is formerly Stephen Lawrence Charitable Trust. So yeah, hopefully we're gonna see some of you there, or maybe some of you applying to join our team as well. Thank you very much.
Olga, what time is that? Does that take place on?
Yes, it's 4 p.m. on 22nd of April, British time, so British summer time.
Okay.
Olga, I have a question too. Do you guys want to open an office in Vienna?
Not at this moment, but you're welcome
but if
to
you
apply.
do, you just let me know, all right? We're gonna organize that, okay?
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
That was
really good schnitzel here. Really good schnitzel. All right.
Oh, I think you convinced me with the schnitzel.
Jason.
Yeah.
Your fruit is on fire.
Yeah.
So
I have something to say about that. If I'll wait till the more important news is given first. So.
Okay.
I have a bit of news as well. VMI Studio also hiring, so on the back of everyone else as well. So yeah, we're hiring senior artists currently in London.
Vienna is really nice, this time of year. Maybe, we can do 2 offices. I mean, it's okay.
You've already got me. I'm moving there. I told you that 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that the bigger question is, who isn't hiring right now? In the UK at least, or in London. It seems everyone's busy. Is that correct?
I'd say busy, but maybe it's tricky hiring right now because if you look at forward-facing billing, it's going to be a tough year. We all thought last year was difficult. This year is going to be difficult too. So yes, it's great to hear that people are hiring. I know that we're really busy at Hawkins Brown, but yeah, I think cautious this year is the way to play it personally. But glad to hear people are hiring, definitely.
And are the positions you're hiring for permanent, or are they freelance, or are they remote working or working in the studio?
Sorry, where at HB?
At anyone.
Yeah, well, we've had, I mean, at HB, talking about visualization, we've had a fantastic year with freelancers. So I'm looking at you, Tom, over there, and a couple of
Happy
other
to
people.
help.
And that's working really, really well for us, actually. So that's quite an exciting new way of working, I think. And I think if you're a freelancer, it's probably smart getting in with a company. I know that if I'm always banging on about how good 3DS London is for networking, and last month a chap called Danny mentioned that he was looking for work in the comments. And then I looked him up on LinkedIn. I realized he was pretty good, and he's done 2 jobs for HB this month since the last 3DS London. And
That's
I hope
great.
to get, I hope it's a great way forward.
There we go. So looking at the comments, you can see, get in touch with Simon if you're wanting to work. Yeah. It's he'll have you this month.
I must say I only got back to Danny once I checked out his work, so there's a bit of a caveat there.
Bribe him with work. Okay.
Josh said he's looking for Unreal Engine artists as well.
It's the wrong meetup for that, Josh.
And other 3D artists too, he said, for architecture.
Well, yes, indeed. So.
Yeah, good. This is great. Having so many actually studios working for people is amazing, because I know a lot of people who are actually working for jobs. So there you go. I hope they're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great to see. I hear a lot of it too. See a lot of people looking, and that's good. A good
Jason,
sign.
Across Europe, do you see the same sort of signs?
Oh, me, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of in the passive position of, I just see what people are posting about, or I hear from people who are looking, but I don't know. I think it's kind of like, it's not consistent. It's some people are looking, and then others don't have enough work. At least that's how I've felt through 2020 generally. I don't know how 2021 is starting for people though. I have to say it's become it's a little bit of the problem with this whole coronavirus thing and the lockdown and everything else. We're in a lockdown again, for instance, in Austria, and there's no like contact anymore. I mean, you can contact people on a video call, but it's not the same thing. You don't talk about the same things necessarily. You don't I don't know, it's not the same. So I feel like I've been missing a lot of things that you could normally catch up on or talk about, which you just can't do in this kind of calls. Maybe it's because you need to be more drunk. I don't know.
No, you're 100% correct, Jason, and I think we're all thoroughly fed up of it.
Yes, I am very fed up.
I think what's exciting is that hopefully over there, I mean, I'm not a pessimist, but a realist. I think it's going to take a long time before we get anywhere close to how things used to be.
Yes.
And even then, they're not going to be how they used to be. But I think we're all really looking forward to, just catching up with people. And like Joanna said, this is our 1-year anniversary of doing this on YouTube, and it's been a fantastic success. And I should thank the whole 3DS London organising team here, because I certainly wouldn't have done this on my own a couple of years ago. There's no way I could have done it all. So that has been fantastic. But I'm really, really looking forward just to catching up with people again. I met someone that I hadn't seen for 2 years yesterday in the park, and we did an elbow handshake, and we had a beer at the other end of the bench. And it was so nice just to see somebody that, just talk to someone. It was fantastic. So I'm really, really looking forward to when we can all do that again.
Oh, I miss it. I mean, I'm normally going to 5 or 6 events in the year and flying somewhere in Europe, going around and having, getting to meet new people and talk to people face to face. I really miss this. I cannot stress it enough. I think about it sometimes and I get this, when I just think about like meeting somebody in real life or going to a conference or some kind of event and like actually talking to somebody face to face, I get this like warm feeling. It sounds stupid, but I'm like, man, that would be so nice to do,
Especially the conferences, yes.
Yeah, and I miss it so much. I can't wait till we can do this again.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we are going to. We haven't announced that yet, but we're going to do an online again this for the D2 this year because it's just not going to be where it needs to be in August. It's just not going to be there. I mean, we can already tell. This is really going to take a while. I'm hopeful for 2022 that it actually will be back to where we can do it. But for now, we're just gonna, not risk anything and just do it online again, which is unfortunate. But I think, we're gonna do this.
At least we can do that.
You're 100% correct. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe it's probably not best to mention it on a live YouTube stream.
Oh, and you're not going.
Wow.
You're not going to.
Such a great timing.
We've been thinking carefully about,
Simon, was frozen for a bit.
Oh, sorry. So we've been thinking carefully about when can 3DS London meet up again? And there's two things. There's the logistics of finding a place that's happy to have us, and then there's the logistics of, do people want to do it yet? If you haven't had your vaccine, do you want to go? And all there's a whole lot of things to think about. And I think what you're doing is the best way forward for now. It's just cautiously seeing how it works out. And it could be the first thing we have is a 3DS London meetup in the park. That could work. We have to stay in groups of 6 and far enough away from each other for a while, but hopefully we'll definitely do something this summer.
Yeah.
Has anybody?
Sorry, Nick?
Has anyone had the vaccine here?
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
Because Nigel's old,
Nigel's
like,
it's
in the first. It's in the first group.
Honestly, it's the language that could come out of my mouth about now. Yes, no. It was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Just actually, Nick, just opposite your work, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you would have seen me on my Zimmer frame walking apart, and it's.
It's not that. It depends completely on where you live. It's a little bit of a lottery, really. Depends how well organised your council is and stuff. Yeah.
I had mine yesterday. I randomly got a text message saying, "Come down. There's a surplus."
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I felt like shit for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a sore arm and then I had a sleep, and it's not that I sleep a lot, but it was like, I'm feeling a bit tired all of a sudden, and I had to go and have
we know that you don't.
No, I don't. And I had an old man lie down, but my wife, she had a sore arm for a few days, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think 24 hours is probably a small price to pay for not feeling good. It's I'm looking forward to getting it, but I mean they're behind in Austria, so maybe it'll be a 3 months. I don't know.
You'll get
what they need to do is put the vaccine in beer. The whole country would be vaccinated in 3 days.
There you go.
Be done.
I would totally take it that way. I'll take as many as they need me to take.
Look, whatever we have to do to actually try and get back to some form of normality.
Yeah.
That's what we're all up against. Shall we?
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can actually start with kicking off with our first presentation.
Can I, Jana, I just say one more thing? I wanted to mention it just because I have this funny background, like this video of fruit that, at the D2, we're doing these monthly challenges, and we're doing one this month, which is called The Future of Fruit. I don't know if anyone watched the D2 online. We had on the last day, one of our special sponsors was Narvalo 3D, who've come up with a new rendering engine for rendering fruit. And if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's on our YouTube page. Jean-Loup is the founder, and he did a great job with this. And this is what the context of the challenge is about. It's a fruit. You're supposed to make a fruit render. There's been fruit provided by Evermotion. This is not a joke. This is a real challenge. The fruit models have been provided by Evermotion, and it's going to be go to the website, check it out. Maybe we can post it in the somewhere, I don't know, in the links or in the somewhere down there. And you can see like all the rules and everything. You have until the 21st of the end of the 21st of April to submit, and then we'll have a live judging on the 23rd. So, and Jean-Loup will be joining us for the judging. So, but really, if you have not seen his talk, you have to go see it. You might recognize him as he is the I believe a cousin of Eric de Broche from Luxagun. I think so. I think there's some connection there. Okay, that's all I've got.
Well, that sounds lovely. Rendering fruit.
Fruit Paul.
Yeah.
Can you use photogrammetry to create your fruit, or
absolutely?
Yeah.
The fruit can be fully 3D. If you go and watch the intro video on our YouTube channel for the challenge, they gave us Narvalo 3D gave us a very informative video that you can watch there. It's on that show we played it. So I think you have to just see it. That's it's hard to describe. Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah. So please join us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. Cool. Thanks, Jason. Well, we're ready to move to our first presentation. John, are you ready?
Yeah, hopefully.
Good. So I hand it over to you. Thanks again for joining us tonight. And yeah, I hope you're having fun, because we are always. So yeah, enjoy it.
Thank you.
No, Jonathan.
Hello. Just want to say thank you guys first and foremost, because I said it on Facebook and all around, to be honest. I've been, actually following the 3DS London for the good part of my career, mostly since 2008, when I was back in Brazil. Saw you guys and I would go like, what the hell are these guys doing, like meetups every month and stuff? I was like, holy shit, need to be there. So this is quite exciting for me, actually. I'm very happy and very honored. So yeah, hopefully this is good. So I'm going to share my screen.
I've been following your work for a while as well, man. The stuff you're doing at Tom Dixon.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good fun when I was there, to be quite honest. Yeah, learned quite loads, actually. Not only from the team, like from Tom himself as well. It was really interesting. I think I'm gonna share a little bit on this one. So you guys see my screen right now?
I can see myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If, by the way, last time we did this with someone else, the sound wasn't working quite well. So if there's no music playing, which is quite important, if you can just give me a shout, it'd be amazing. Okay, so basically, I'm John Formento. I come from Brazil originally and lived there for quite a big part of my life, actually. And in 2014, I moved to the UK to work at an agency called Uniform, which I suppose all of you know, do really amazing work, and worked there for almost 5 years. And then in 2019, I moved down to London, which was something I really wanted to do, to work with British designer Tom Dixon. And it's a really good experience. Stayed there for about 1.5 years. And then last year, amidst the pandemic, I took the weird decision to try and go on my own, finally, which was something I've been kind of dreaming, I don't know, for the past 10 years or something. So it was really exciting, a bit scared, but it kind of worked well so far. And today I just wanted to give you guys this brief intro about myself, and I'm going to keep this whole thing quite short and hopefully sweet. So that could be quite nice. I started with the whole Formento thing with the idea of trying to honor the work of brands, architects, developers, and all kind of people who actually will build some work afterwards, but they need to wrap it up quite nicely before that happens. And tonight I'm going to chat about two projects that have been done actually extremely recently, and I'm quite happy with them. So just want to share that with you guys today. So the first one I'm going to talk about is 19 Chairs project. This is a project created by two South London brothers, Tom and Will Butterfield. It is a charity project that not only is a reaction to COVID-19, but also celebrates, a great piece of furniture, the humble chair. So Tom and Will, throughout the pandemic, throughout the whole lockdown, they decided to make really good use of their time, and throughout 19 days, they created a chair per day, and then shipped that chair all across the globe for different designers to celebrate that piece and do their own take on the chair. So these are the 19 chairs Tom and Will created during the 19 days, and then these are the final. This is going to be sort of like a very quick run through the whole thing, but this is like what the designers came with, and they had an amazing lineup. They had Tom Dixon did a piece, Sabine Morcellis, the Dutch designer, did another one, as Devlin, the London designer, did a piece as well. And it was quite funny because they got these pieces and they transformed some of them in completely different things. Like you see frames on the left hand side, you see a light quite in the middle, which I believe is actually from S. Devlin, and some other amazing pieces. And the whole idea with this is not only being a creative project, but afterwards they're going to be auctioned and sold, and part of that money from the auction, it will go to two different charities, which I don't really remember right now, but I'll come back to that later. So this is some of the other pieces that were created. There's a whole bunch of different things. So with that in mind, they came to me in December and decided, hey, let's do a collaboration. I think this is a good time. They wanted to refresh their feed on social media and stuff, and we had this idea of like making 3 animations for Instagram mainly, tell a bit of the story, how the chairs come together, and make them fun and satisfying, because I believe that's a lot of people like to see on Instagram, like all the fun and satisfying videos and stuff. So with that in mind, I've got the 19 chair models, which they designed previously in Rhino, I believe. I don't really remember. I've got a nice piece of plywood texture from Texture Supply, which a lot of people came to ask me afterwards, like, hey, where'd you get the texture from? So if anyone has any doubt, here is the texture. And then I had lots to do. And it was very short amount of time because I was doing in between client work. So yeah, we had to kind of run fast. So the whole idea with this one was literally to jump straight into kind of production. The brief was, was very free and very loose in this kind of, we just wanted, something fun, something fresh, something quite, contemporary in a way. So I just decided to start experimenting with a whole bunch of different things. As soon as you have the, those chair models kind of done, it's just a question of like playing with lights and playing with movement and playing with, materials and stuff, and make it quite graphic as well. Because when you look at the chairs, they are indeed quite graphic pieces. And then, yeah, it was just a whole set of exploration, a whole bunch more, to be honest. We then decided to go, with no gray backgrounds, because the green you see on the background is part of the brand the 19 chairs have. And then we came to like final style frames before, going into the full animation. So these are some of the pieces that came out. So it's a whole, whole set of like playing with lighting, playing with shadows, and playing with that texture, which is like one of the most important things when it comes, to plywood and stuff. We then got a bit of a end wood kind of thing for the timber, which worked quite well. And yeah, here is just a whole set of different, style frames and shots and stuff. Whole bunch more. And we did a bit of playing with Tyflow on this one, which is quite exciting because there's a whole buzz around Tyflow right now, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. So you see on the top left, there's a bit of Tyflow going on. And this is the final film. And I mean, the three of them actually, because we did three, but what I was going to say on this one, it's quite funny because the first time we did solely for Instagram. So it's quite interesting putting this presentation and just leaving a vertical sort of ratio in there. So here it is. I hope the sound goes. Here it is. And then just to wrap this one up, and hopefully with the whole talk about COVID and stuff, next month hopefully we can go out a little bit more. And I just wanted to let everybody know that who wants to go out next month, you can go see in the exhibition at Protein Studios. It's going to be really exciting. There's a beautiful cause behind the whole project, so I really recommend everyone to visit. The next one, it's very fresh. It just launched yesterday. It's an incredibly special project that I did with Norman Copenhagen for the past month, roughly. And we started discussions in February to do a piece of animation for the new chair that was coming out, the Alley chair. So basically today is just all about chairs. And yeah, this was quite exciting because it was the first time I was working with, a Danish company directly. It's really cool, really admire their brands and their products for the past many years. And yeah, just gonna share a little bit of that. So when you first started this one, we had this, this email that had a little bit of information about what the chair was going to be like. It's a sort of cafe bistro chair where you can use either inside or outside. There's a whole set of materials and stuff like that that they wanted to showcase throughout the film. Not only that, but the ability to pack the chair and send all across the globe, because when you're working with hospitality and hotels and restaurants and things like that, you sort of need that feature, to facilitate the transport for the product. And yeah, we wanted to do that. And basically, we've got a whole set of references. This is some of the photography that they had going back in the day. It was just missing a bit of post-production and stuff like that. But, it was really good for the reference, just to get that understanding of how the product would be like. And then this was really good because they actually sent a sample of the chair just so we can understand, a little bit further how the materials would play like, and, how you kind of put the chair together, which again, really part of, an important feature of the product. And we went from there. So with this one, it was really nice. I didn't put in the presentation, but it was actually, quite interesting because they sent some of the references, and actually the 19 chairs came as a good reference for what they're looking for in terms of like lighting and movement and stuff like that, and kind of knew where to go roughly. And with that in mind, we had a briefing of, we're doing one animation that would go for the press kit and social media that would, explain the features and the material options of the product. We wanted to keep it clean and contemporary, just to sort of keep that aesthetic and design language of the brand that I suppose we all know quite well how it is. And we wanted to make it fresh, having nice sound, nice studio lighting, just again to maintain and keep that clean and contemporary aesthetic throughout. So with that in mind, with this one just jumped onto style frames directly instead of going into storyboard, which normally happens. We kind of knew where we wanted to go with this, so we just jumped straight into that, just using very basic 3D models, basic textures, and all that kind of stuff that we all like to know about, I suppose. And yeah, we just went from there. As you can see, that it's very rough, renders all noisy and pixelated and all kinds of things. But you wanted to see that sort of material and lighting coming through across the frames. Just did a whole bunch of tests around colors, because they had 5 different colors for the product. A lot of abstract shots. Really like to go into the sort of abstractness of basically whatever I'm kind of doing. If it's a product, if it's a building or something like that, you always like to kind of have fun with that, because it brings out that design language that some of the companies, some of the designers are trying to put on their products. And with that, we just jumped into a first animatic, which I'm going to show you guys now. This was like the first sort of draft. There's like frames missing, music doesn't work well and stuff like that, but it's not too far from the final one, so I'm just going to play that for you guys. So that was a bit of the animatic. Again, it's rough and noisy and stuff, but it works well, and it kind of tells the whole story, shows the sound, shows the music, shows the movement, which is really good. And then it was quite interesting, because from there, as you can see a lot of the things going on, the comments were quite minimized in a way. So some of the comments were like, hey, let's change the logo in the beginning and just put the name of the chair, the specific font that they wanted. We wanted to change some of the cuts that show the different materials into something a little bit more dynamic. So if you can see on the right hand side, you can kind of understand how we wanted to translate the variation of material throughout the different elements that were on the screen, and basically added a whole set of different shots, because it's a bit similar from one to another, and we wanted to break that a little bit. And some of the things that were missing from the first one was something like, let's match some of the shots with the beats and with the sort of slap and snares and stuff from the sound, which came out quite nicely at the end. And then add another color that was missing from the from the animation. High resolution, style frames that we wanted to improve and stuff. And then we went on to the final piece, actually, which very similar, I believe. Thanks, guys. Have
Awesome.
There you go. Stop
Wow.
sharing. I literally rushed through the whole thing. I just realized it was 15 minutes. Like,
It's really cool, John. It's great to see.
Awesome.
It's really good. Love it.
Yeah, it looked great. The
You went-
animatics and all.
sorry, I was just a bit concerned that I would run out of time, like run over. So I just like made everything so compact. Like there is no much explanation. But if you guys have any questions, just please feel free to drop any.
No, it's very good. Thank you. I like a concise presentation myself. I think they're brilliant. That was really well done. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks.
It gives us more time to like just, you know, talk about nothing, you know, in between.
Yeah.
No, Nigel, I mean, sorry, Jonathan, it's really great. I love seeing your stuff on Facebook and Instagram and everything. I always, I think you do a fantastic job with your work.
Yeah, I really love your kind of understanding of animation and timing with music, like, you know, the way the frames are slowing down. It's just, where did you learn that? You know, where did you learn how to visualize and animate products? Is that just natural, or?
I think I was chatting to someone about that the other day, because I never really like studied animation or, you know, things like that, but I listen a lot to hip hop. So there is a whole bunch of rhythm, you know, and beats that goes behind that. And I just, it's even funny to say, because I get just goosebumps just talking about it, because, you know, like some of these guys, these rappers and stuff, they know how to, you know, match a melody to, you know, a beat so well that gets people like, oh yes, you know. So it's like that sort of thing, you know, with the last one, with the normal one, for instance, it's all about that click, you know, that when you build the chat together, you get that click, or, you know, the legs kind of built in onto the body. And it's just that, to be quite honest, Nick, because, you know, it always kind of happens on the edits, because when you render out and you get a sequence together, it's just boring. You know, you don't know what's going on, but as soon as you get a nice song going on, it changed the whole thing. And the other thing is, like, I'm really big fan of, you know, companies like Man vs. Machine, Future Deluxe, and all these guys, because they're just brilliant at doing that kind of stuff. So I think I probably watched too many of their films for too long.
With the animation, so are you slowing them down in editing, or is that how you animated it? Did you know, the way they kind of just, they're moving and it just kind of clips like that? Is that something you did?
The first sort of drafts usually, that's a good thing, I should have put that in the presentation. But usually, like, you know, I animate like linear, like the whole thing, and then it comes through in the editing, and as soon as the edit's kind of done, you just reanimate, just, you know, adjusting curves and keyframes and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the way. There isn't much like a process in a way. It's more like experimentation. And I suppose that's, you know, some of these companies do as well. They experiment a lot before it comes to the final one. But, you know, when it looks really good on the edit, there's no reason why you should reanimate, you know, that whole thing, because it's just more work. It's just more stress. But yeah.
So you can still tweak it in the edit. You know, you can still slow things down and make it fit in with the music. How do you change the music at all to fit in with the, you know, is that supplied to you, or is it, you know, is it
something else should have put on the presentation? But yeah, so with this one, you know, I kind of got the stems of the track, so you get beats, melody, you know, drums and stuff, bass, all separated. So yeah, that one was completely changed, because there's vocals going on, you know, on the top, so it was a bit, you know, it doesn't fit. It looks like a, you know, bad pop song basically. But then you kind of slow things down, and, you know, that kind of works.
But they supply the music, do they, or did you?
Yeah, they license, and then, you know, you add it on top of that basically. Yeah. But it varies.
Would just be one big thing on top of actually doing the job, wouldn't it? Trying to select music for it would be huge.
Oh man, it takes such a long time. Honestly, I'm working on another couple of pieces of animation, and, you know, sometimes you spend a day just looking for the right track. If you're not using, you know, a sound design company and stuff, if you want, hey, we want to save on that, so okay, we're just gonna have to spend another day looking for, you know, the right music, and sometimes even edit that music. I think the worst comes when you have to loop something, and, you know, I'm not like a sound designer or something, so I don't know, man. You have to get creative on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, Jonathan, from the YouTube comments. Raphael wants to know how you started your career in the UK, because Raphael is Brazilian in the UK too, and starting his career in 3D, and he'd like to know how it was for you to get your first job in the UK?
I think I was quite lucky in a sense because I was in Brazil when I had my, well, when I wasn't working basically in it. I got my job, just applying through different websites, and well, Uniform got in touch, did an interview, it worked well, and they got me a visa because it works. It's quite funny. I get asked that a lot because I'm not European or anything. So if you're Brazilian, if you got an European passport, it's so much easier. But for me, it was like had to do a visa so I could come here. So apply via different websites. I don't remember where I applied exactly, but that's how I kind of got it. I still don't believe that they kind of hired me back in the day because it's so bad, man.
So it was pretty. So you would say it was on the strength of the work that you shared with companies.
Yeah. So I think I remember chatting to Nick about it. It was more about the work was okay, the CG work, but they really liked the photography back in the day. So that kind of helped. And in fact, I applied for a senior position at that time, and I got a junior position at the end, which made so much sense because when you get here, the industry is just ridiculously different. It's incredibly involved. Basically. So that kind of made sense.
You still keeping up with the photography?
Oh man, I kind of lost track of the past year, to be honest. I deleted everything that I had online in photography has been going 5 years. I deleted it all. I think the only thing is still there is like Flickr, but it's quite old. It's really bad.
I think you reposted something the other day, didn't you? Like an old.
Ooh. Oh yeah, on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, when you post on Instagram, Facebook keeps it, and then a year later they send it to you, and I go like, oh, so
yeah.
So that's kind of it. But yeah, no, I need to get back on it because it makes such a difference, especially if you work. I mean, if you're working with ArtViz. I think you should
get back into it. It's inspiration for us. Get back doing it.
I do have on my Unsplash account that I provided for free. People who wants to use and stuff. So it's like high res pictures for free. So I need to share that more actually. I shared too much already. So.
Awesome.
Cool.
I'm late to the party because my internet died, but I just wanted to say.
Died again.
John, I lost you on the last bit, but I really loved it. Yeah, it's really sad. I was trying to connect to my iPhone and all the stuff, but it didn't work well. But anyway, it was really good. And I told you yesterday, but I really love the cuts, how the cuts work with the music on the change of colors and the stuff on the chair. It's so visually pleasing to watch it. I watched it hundreds of times probably the film, and it's really cool because I'm really into like those kind of really interesting animation, like transitions, animations, really smooth cuts and all that. And yeah, just congratulations, really cool.
Yeah, it's quite funny because when you're doing the edits now, just touching on that again, Tom, like you're doing the edits on the beats and stuff, and you're working till like, I don't know, 2-3 in the morning. And you go to sleep with that beat in your head, and you wake up next day literally with the same thing in your head. It's so annoying, man. Like every time. Oh, anyway.
Do you prefer to work on animations rather than still images, or you just have the same kind of satisfaction on both works? What's your preference?
I'm quite enjoying doing more animations now because I don't know, it just feels a bit more creative in a way. I'm not saying images are not creative, but like anything can kind of happen, in an animation kind of thing. Like, you start with something, but it can change so quickly. You find another tune, send to the client, they like the tune, like, hey, well, we just got to change this and that. Obviously, it's more work and no one wants to do that much more, but the end result is quite rewarding in a way. Yeah. And to be fairly honest, like 90% of what I'm doing right now is animation. So whether I like it or not, I'm just going to keep
you have to do it. Saying that with experimentations and stuff, and you mentioned Men vs. Machine and Future Deluxe, and this is the way exactly how they work. They kind of, at least in all the presentations I've watched of them, they do different experimentations, and at the end is the whole piece is like a lot of experiments and like stuff
Yeah.
that they got together.
And it works well. I think I know what you're talking about, because I saw some of the talks as well, and I find it quite funny because sometimes they have to tell a client like the way they work is quite abstract. They have to experiment to get something out of it, and I don't know, like I just find it really, really nice actually.
Yeah, same. I really admire this kind of working as well, because it's kind of really, it doesn't kill the creativity. It's the other way around. It makes you even more creative than you are doing those stuff. You never know. So it's kind of nice. Yeah.
Especially if you're doing the whole thing, right? If you're doing, the animation, lighting and stuff like that, and going all the way to the edit, you kind of own the whole thing in a way, which is, quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I've got another question, but maybe you've commented on that when I was away on my breaking internet. Anyway, why did you start your like being on yourself and setting up your own business during a pandemic? Like, why did this decision came now?
I don't know. I think I've always wanted to do for like, since I was like 20, 21 or something like that. A couple of friends, they had brands, they had like clothing brands and studios and stuff like that. And I was like, God, I want to do that as well, just go on my own. So, it was a kind of long-term dream, because when you move to the UK, I had to sort of like chill out. I couldn't do it. You're on a visa, you depend on the companies to, to be here, in my case, particularly. So in 2019, I don't remember, but 2019, I've got my indefinite leave to remain, which means I, could do whatever I wanted. Basically, I don't get the risk of being kicked out unless I do some bad stuff. but basically, that was like, okay, that's nice. And then a few months later, pandemic, came in. Had just gone back from Brazil, and I was like, I don't know. I got a few contacts. I could try this, and that. And that was a decision. Like I spoke to a few people. I got a really good friend who works in the industry, and he mentions, dude, I think you should try going your own. Shit goes down, reach me out, I'll get you a job. Don't worry about it. And I was like, okay, like, kind of have nothing to lose in a way. And I don't know, it was just amazing. I think it was a bit of luck as well that I had made some good connections. I just thought maybe this is the time. If I don't try it now amidst the pandemic, I might not, try ever in a way. I'm almost 30, so I was like, just gotta do it. So yeah, I just gave it a go. I don't know, it just felt really good, and I thought it was the time, and it was just a blast, because day after I got like, full website, put everything out, like day after I got emails already, people like, hey, let's, do some stuff, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's kind of how it worked. It was a bit of a leap of faith, but, I had to try.
Yeah, that's a great outcome. I mean, it's a great outcome that you just had work straight away. So
yeah, I was lucky. I think I was really, really lucky. Like I know people who did the same, and, it kind of didn't happen the same way. So I don't know. I just feel lucky.
And you're brave,
You had a strong presence anyway, didn't you? I definitely watched your stuff for a bit. So I'm not surprised that people came knocking quite quick.
I try to. That's the other thing as well, because if you're trying to go on your own, at least going freelance, as Nick said, like you have to have a presence, because if you just started out of nowhere, there's a big chance that things might not be as quick. So I tried to keep up before that. Like I was always very active on like LinkedIn and Instagram and stuff. So that really helped, I believe. But yeah, you got to keep that presence, and it's a full-time job. People who out there, like they know, like you're doing your own marketing and stuff like that. It's just ridiculously time-consuming. Sometimes like you want to do a post, like I spend a good like 30-40 minutes just like, fucking hell, I'm gonna say here. So you try to go back in the job and like get the information, get what you believe we try to put in there. So yeah, I think yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but
yeah, I think definitely we can relate to that, especially the Instagram posts. I'm like, is that the correct word? Do I want to say that?
Yeah, I get really nuts about that as well. And then you start like, let me search for the right hashtags. Let me search for the right thing to tag in.
But yeah, you see, all that is really important, and at the end it pays off. At least this is what I believe.
It does.
Anyway.
I do believe it does, because some of the work that I had came, through Instagram. So I was like, oh, it actually works, which is quite interesting. So
yeah, it's really rewarding and it's cool. Well done. I just spotted one question. Maybe you've answered this one. I would like to know, what is your workflow and the program you use? Did you answer this question?
No, I think it's it's basically 3ds Max, V-Ray, or Corona when needed. What else do I use? I use Fusion quite a lot for comp, Premiere Pro for editing. I've started using Tyflow right now, and Phoenix FD as well. Just started using, which I'm going to use quite a lot the next couple of months. But that's it. I think there's nothing really special in there, to be honest.
Hey, Jonathan. Go, Tom. I was going to ask as well.
Oh, go on. Sorry, ladies first.
We might even be asking the same question, Tom. You never know.
Oh, you never know.
I was just going to ask how you solve for like hardware, like working on your own and producing a lot of animations. Like, do you tend to like just buy some render nodes? Like, kind of how do you solve?
Yeah, so a lot of these animations, they just go to render farms like Rebus Farm and stuff.
Yeah. Which
gets really expensive at the end of the day, but for now, at the beginning, that's what I have. And in terms of hardware, I've got a what is it called? Threadripper. It's quite old. It's the 1950X, if I'm not mistaken. 64 gig RAM, a 280 graphics card. What else do I have? That's it, basically. Because they're so basic. Like when you get into the simulation sort of things, like things start to get bad, and lights start to flicker around the house because it takes stuff. But other than that, like that, I haven't had a massive big simulation or something like that. When it gets to ArcViz, it gets slow, to be quite honest. When I'm doing images, like merging cities and stuff into it, it gets tricky. But other than that, no, it's all quite simple. It handles quite well. Like let me think. Yeah, the normal one. That was pretty much rendered on my single machine because it's so basic. And when you get to that point, you try to get a little bit clever. So instead of rendering, I don't know, the whole animation, you just render a background and do comp in post. That saves so much time. It's just insane. So yeah, just try to think that way, because I don't have the resources to do any of that.
Yeah, must make you super efficient.
What's the cheaper version of Rebus? Rebus just rip off, isn't it?
Garage Farm. That's pretty cheap.
What's it called?
Garage Farm, isn't it?
Okay, I'm gonna write that down actually.
Yellow. Is it Yellow Dog?
We don't condemn or condone or anyone's render farm or any softwares.
Yes, I'm sorry, we don't have a sponsorship agreement with them. We're going to have to cut this out.
If anyone, the trouble with all those online farms, I find, because I'm always making mistakes, is that I hate paying for mistakes.
Yeah.
So to have your own render farm where you can make your own mistakes, it's not really cost you anything, it's quite good. But there's nothing worse than paying for a mistake.
Yeah.
And waiting for them to resubmit it, knowing that you've got to resubmit it. It takes forever to upload anything.
God, I paid for a lot of mistakes, to be quite honest, the past few months. Let me tell you, it's been bad.
So my question was kind of similar, but on more of a rendering side. When a lot of the stuff has obviously particular colors, so is there limited amounts of grading that you can do, etc. Do clients come back to no, that's not the right color of that chair or whatever?
For the product stuff, I barely grade it. I try to get the color right and do contrast and curves and stuff, but there's barely grading, so I just try to keep the same color, because that's such an important thing for them, right? Just
exactly,
to keep the direction spot on. When it's the abstract stuff, I've got the Tom Dixon animations, it's a full purple animation. You guys probably seen posts around all the time. that one like is fine and they'll do whatever. But when it comes to like, hey, this is like specific showcase the product nicely, there's no grading. Although I love it when that's the thing that I miss when doing ArtVis. It's like you can go a little bit crazier on the grading, and I really enjoy doing that.
Cool.
Did anyone answer Francis Lepenz's question, which was to do with workflow and what tools do you use?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one.
Oh, you did that. Okay, sorry, I popped out for a sec.
Yeah. So have you ever, so you're doing all these playful animations in Max still. Have you ever thought of like using Cinema 4D, Houdini, or you?
Oh yeah. I think last year, the year before, I started with Cinema. Some of the animations I did at Tom Dixon, they're fully Cinema. But I just kind of felt lazy then to learn Cinema, and go from that. And then Tyflow came out, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorted, So I was like, if things get a bit nuts, I can just learn a bit of Tyflow and get it done in there.
But there's tools for there's also what is the from Insidium for Cinema 4D. There's also this kind of tool.
Yeah,
particle systems.
Lots in Cinema.
X particles. I'm learning that.
X particles. There you go.
Cool.
That looks brilliant.
Jonathan, have you tried Blender?
Oh, not you.
No, I'm kidding. I've never used Blender. I just have to keep the joke alive,
Well, honestly, on like to answer your question, I was actually thinking about that today, because some of the stuff that's coming in right now, it just makes sense learning some of these tools, because I know Cinema, it's so like straightforward. When I was playing with that, it just looked amazing. I was just a bit lazy actually to learn that. And then Houdini would be the next thing, but I know it's a black hole. And if I want to, keep the business going right now, which is, it's doing well, if I jump on Houdini, I know it's gonna take my life. So
yeah, that's a good point.
But it's incredibly powerful. Like, I just envy people who actually know Houdini, because I don't know, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just a tool at the end of the day. They're all just tools.
In a way, yeah. But yeah. I don't know. It looks really good.
It just opens a bit more doors than, if you know all the tools and you have all the creativity, then you can do it.
Yeah.
So I have a question to ask you. It's not really computer graphics related. It's completely opposite. If computers disappeared tomorrow, what would you do?
I'd probably try ride BMX again. I used to ride BMX. Just had fun, and yeah, it was good. I thought I could go somewhere on that one.
What would you try and do for a living?
BMXing.
Right.
That would be a Deliveroo driver then.
Or competition with a bike.
Definitely not with BMX. You can't just be a Deliveroo.
Where I work, they gave us a LinkedIn Learning subscription, and I was a bit disappointed there's no plumbing courses on there, because I always thought I'd be a good plumber. But, yeah.
So yeah, what motivates you away from computer graphics? You can't.
What motivates me away? Sorry.
Well, what motivates you away from doing computer graphics? Or is CGI your cooking?
Yeah, chefing would be my job.
You've got to have downtime from the tools.
Right now, I got no downtime in a way.
Have you ever thought of getting into design yourself and designing furniture yourself and
I did that for a bit actually. Back in Brazil, 2009, I worked at an interior design company and a booth design company, which I just doing design basically back then. That could be quite interesting actually, but I don't know. Actually. I don't know. Probably could go that way. Furniture, maybe not so much, but like probably architecture or something like that. I don't know.
I worked for an interior design firm, quite a famous one for a while, and we were charging, I think it was 20% commission on all furniture that we designed. And so it's the markup is phenomenal. So we would design furniture for a restaurant that I would design in the morning, and we would there was 100 or 200 chairs for that restaurant, and the boss would make thousands of it.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a really interesting way of working.
I just found it interesting because I don't know, like since I moved to the UK, I never had this sort of, will to design stuff. I was more, interested on, the visual side of things, I believe. And especially right now with the films and animation, it's just really rewarding to see the whole thing coming together, more than a furniture piece of stuff.
But surely you've learned, and you're learning as you're working with such great designers and great design, that you're picking up that as well.
Oh, like this one particularly, the normal one. I'll chat to Simon, the designer behind the chair, one of the head of design at Norman, and just to listening to the process was insane. Like the whole idea behind the materials that they were using, why they were using, like the longevity of things. I was like, holy shit, this is really inspiring. I haven't been inspired like that, since probably like the Tom Dixon times, which same thing kind of happened. But I still haven't had that sort of, hey, I'm going to design something or something like that. I don't know. Maybe one day. Because I see a lot of people, and you guys probably see on Instagram, like a lot of people, I believe like 6 and 5 is the best example. Like those guys started as, doing images and stuff, and they have like, collection pieces of furniture right now that go really high. Even the digital ones with the whole NFT stuff. I
own one. I own one of their NFTs, man. Those guys are crazy. They do some really crazy stuff.
You see how interesting is that? Like they came from that, and to make real pieces. I don't know. They just created this amazing brand behind it, and sometimes you think like, well, maybe it could be a way, but again, I don't know.
That's actually a really cool question. What motivates you if it's not CG? Like, what's your passion outside of this industry? It's a really interesting question.
Well, that is actually, BMX actually got me into this industry. I told many people that. I know it's difficult to believe, but when I started riding, little kids' bikes, you get introduced to a whole, it's the same thing as someone who, rides skateboard. They get introduced to movie, they get introduced to photography, graphic design, fashion. Like there's a whole lot of like skateboarders in London who study fashion. It's just incredible. And that's what kind of, motivated me. And at the end, it got me into this, because the first thing that I've always used 3D Studio Max for was to create skate parks. And I was like, I don't know, 12 or something. Like my neighbor had a copy or something like that. And he was like, hey, dude, you can just do, a ball or something. I was like, yes. So, I know it's weird, but that's kind of how, how it goes. And when you look at that, like you're trying to go back in time and like trying to find the things that really, drive you towards the things that you do, you find those things and find, oh, okay, that makes sense right now. So I'll probably go back to that and try to refigure things out probably.
I think like the skate park's traditionally like the center of a lot of things, isn't it? If you're hanging around as a teenager, you get introduced to a lot of bad things, but a lot of good things as well.
Oh yeah,
fashion and it's the right place to be as a teenager, I think.
Yeah, no, you was exactly that, and I just, I don't know. It's so weird.
It's not me this time. Oh, John, I lost you.
Yeah, either John's gone or we're all gone and he's still going.
You never know. That's the magic.
He's back.
What's that?
You're back.
We lost you.
You were frozen for a bit.
Oh no. What was saying?
You were talking about getting back into BMXing career.
Oh yeah.
That's your backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool plan. You can travel the world with the bike and just do whatever and do your cool films.
It's, you know, it's more of a question of like, you know, you're doing the things that you enjoy and you find sort of a route, you know, through that basically. But yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation, John. It was amazing, and I think it was really inspiring. And
Thank you.
Thanks. It provoked such a cool discussion, which is like the most important thing, because you know, getting to know what everyone into is kind of interesting. And I always wonder what people do actually when they're not doing their work, when they're not doing CGI. It's really interesting.
Yeah. It's not that I do that much these days because I got no knees anymore, but that's what I would, you know, try to do.
Yeah. Really cool. Maybe we should move to our next presentation, and then we can have this panel discussion about look at the survey what people actually said on their answers. So I suggest we move to Nick. Hi, Nick. Thanks again to you as well for being with us tonight. Means a lot. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you.
I'm notoriously fast at presenting as well, so if this lasts for 5 minutes, forgive me. I always do it. I seem to race through things. Okay, cool. So I'll share my screen. Hopefully, can you all see? Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, it looks good.
Cool, brilliant. So I wasn't too sure what to present on, but I've just given kind of a bit of an overview on VMI Studio and how it came to be, and the kind of work that we produce. So VMI Studio, we've been around for about 8 years. I started actually just on my own when I was about 23, and I had a kind of a small team for a couple of years, and my brother joined Fergus a couple of years in, and he kind of helped me develop the business further, and we've gone from 1 to 16 artists. So the way in which we approach kind of our projects is maybe slightly different. We try and take quite a holistic approach to our clients. So our focus is kind of really bringing ideas to life that are joy to experience. And what I mean by that is trying to visualize or create an immersive experience for our clients, but you know, something that's enjoyable and engaging and got a strong narrative and communicates a message. So our disciplines are CGI imagery, film, interactive, immersion, and experience design. We work globally, so this year we've actually been fortunate enough to work places like Sri Lanka, Nigeria, and Turks and Caicos, which is kind of unusual. But it seems this year, more with COVID, we were working more internationally on CGI projects. So here's some of our team. So they're kind of a range of developers, programmers, senior mid artists, and UI and UX designers. So there's a bit of a kind of wide range because our work is, like I said, quite holistic. So we're not just CGI, we do interactive and VR and MR and even WebGL projects. At the core of it, though for us, it's all about producing beautiful visuals. And I think, you know, in the market with our clients, we're kind of known for kind of high photorealistic imagery for marketing. So an image like this is kind of a good representation of that. It's about trying to create an evocative feeling. So in this visual, you can't actually see the apartment. It's more getting a sense of Midtown and what it'd be like to live there. And I feel like an image like this might tell you more about this scheme than maybe 20 visuals in an animation could. So this is a visual part of the same project. A lot of our work is actually stateside. This is in Canary Wharf. We've started increasingly working in pure 3D. So, you know, we like to approach our projects kind of like a photographer, not limited to just modeling what's kind of visible in the scene. We try and model as much as we can if we have the time to, so that we've got more freedom to produce more cinemagraphs, animation, and really have that freedom to explore the scene. The project in San Francisco. And then increasingly, we're working at animation and producing what we call stories, which is just kind of small little sequences that communicate the scheme in a kind of short, bite-sized video. So similar to what Jonathan was saying, a lot of clients are looking for social media content and content that you can kind of send out real quick. And then, picking up small details that kind of are quite evocative and speak to the viewer. So little cinegraphs of perspiration coming out of the pasta. Similar, this is in project in New Jersey, trying to kind of bring traditional visuals to life and have some motion to them. Another kind of big part of our business is VR and creating installations for cultural heritage institutions. So this image here is a photograph of a project we recently worked on for the Imperial War Museum, in which we reconstructed scenes from the Holocaust, which is a pretty kind of delicate subject matter, but we were provided with a series of photographs from Warsaw. And we went about kind of looking at reference data and archaeological information before Warsaw was bombed, and built up a series of CGIs and VR experience. So as you can see here, this is some of the data we were using. So this photograph here was from 1939, before it was bombed, and the photograph, unfortunately, if you can see here, sorry, this photograph here, we managed to find that the photograph taken of these people being rounded up, we managed to find from data that it was actually this building here. And then we were able to reconstruct that scene. So a lot of our projects are kind of in the cultural and historic realm, really, because I actually used to be an archaeologist, so I've got a real interest in that. But this was a particularly kind of delicate project, and yeah, a very kind of left of field thing to do, and pretty evocative too. We ended up taking it to synagogues in London, in Southampton, and to museums as well. Is a photograph of the exhibition. This is another project we worked on a couple of years ago that really taught us a great deal about VR and some kind of more complex side to it. So we worked alongside an artist called Matt Collishaw, who wanted to, he approached us and said he'd like to reconstruct the first ever photographic exhibition, which was in 1839 or around then. And we this in 2017, so a lot of this technology, the HTC Vive and the backpack was relatively new. And we went about building a physical installation that you can see here, these white rooms, and matching to the millimeter to our virtual scene that we built in Unreal Engine. Had the HTC Vive, we had haptics to pick up hand movement, and then a portable backpack. And this exhibition actually had 60,000 people come to it in the first 2 weeks, and it was in time out for 2 weeks. So it was like a real kind of launching pad for us into this immersive work. And this is another example. It's for one of our clients called Segro, and they build massive warehouses, which sounds kind of boring, but they're actually the largest property company in Europe building these warehouses. And because of our historic reconstruction work, we built up a VR experience of their whole entire 100-year history, in which we looked at, again, archaeological data of the initial warehouses that they built. They used to have Mars factory there, the Citroen factory there, and they had a massive kind of push and effort towards World War II in helping manufacture Spitfires, for example. So it's a really great experience. We did it on a VR headset, touchscreen, and 360 content. And what that really taught us is, if you build a lot of this content in a real-time engine, you can really push out a lot of content from there. It's very reusable. You can have touchscreen experience, 360 film. You can have headset. It's even rushes for film. It's a pretty kind of brilliant ecosystem working in a real-time engine, especially something like Unreal Engine. And then most important to us is realizing a message, you know, trying to understand what it is that our clients are looking to achieve. And we do sometimes receive RFPs or receive a list of renderings that they'd like to achieve. And we always push for an initial meeting to really kind of understand what it is that they're looking to achieve. And really kind of prod them and see, look, do you really need rendering? Do you need film? Do you need graffiti? You know, trying to understand what the challenges is. And then from that point, we develop the brief alongside them, exploring different technologies and maybe some prototyping, some research. And then finally, we deliver and realize on that project. And our goal is to amaze, you know, produce really high quality work and something a bit left of field. So why does VMI exist? I thought I'd give a bit of background. I was actually, like I mentioned earlier, an archaeologist, and it's a bit of a strange segue into architecture visualization, but actually a lot of the tools that you learn in archaeology are very similar. I learned surveying at AutoCAD, and my first kind of introduction to 3D was via 3D scanning, mesh optimization, and then finally visualization from there. This is pretty bad render, but it was a while ago. And actually my first office was right next to Truckles here. It's kind of unfortunate because I didn't know that 3ds London existed, which is a shame because I would have loved to be part of that community early on, because I thought I was one of the only people that actually did this. Okay, so the business of ArcViz, I wasn't sure whether or not I should speak about this because it said in the title to talk about business. Should I do that or not? Because it's a little bit dull.
Yeah, no, go for it. We'd love it.
Absolutely.
So I just kind of written a little list here of things that I, you know, I was trying to think, what have I learned in the last 8 years? What are the kind of the most poignant things that I've taken from all of that? And number one is to build the business, not just the revenue. And what I mean by that is building an entity or a house or a ship that enables you to produce great work, larger projects, and a solid team. You know, everybody can, you know, if you're starting out as a freelancer or starting a company, everyone can sell a few CGIs and make a bob, but building a business gives you longevity in it, and hopefully it will put you in good stead for time to come. So, you know, certainly the first few years, I just sleep under my desk half the time and not paying myself and just do what I had to do to try and build the business and be able to work on projects. So that's something that I think is really important. Number two, quality. You know, it's quite difficult to find new clients. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's quite a competitive market, but it's quite easy to have repeat business. You just get an email through. So, you know, always try and deliver high quality for your clients. Number three, understand your clients' challenges. Really do understand. I feel like in ArcViz that gets missed a few times. You know, we sometimes get bogged down in the technology, or, you know, is this material looking beautiful and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's just not important. You know, you have to try and understand what their business objective is, or their artistic objectives are, and kind of get into their head. Number four, innovation. That's always been really key to VMI. It's like one of kind of our fundamentals, and only because I find, you know, all these technologies so interesting, pretty passionate about them. So I wouldn't just want to be doing still imagery. I'd like to, you know, learn all these different tools, and that's pushed us to learn a whole heap of different technologies. Like I said, WebGL, we've done a HoloLens project before, AR, VR, and increasingly real time. I'm pretty obsessed with that workflow and what it can do. Then five, work. Running a business is fucking terrible half the time. It's really, really hard. You got to push, and you got to be willing to do stuff that you never normally want to do, have awful conversations and all this kind of horrible stuff. But, you know, if you find yourself not doing it, you should probably go get a job. You know, you have to work. R&D, I think R&D is really important if you have the time. But, you know, just kind of, like, I guess it's kind of similar to innovation, but just developing and ensuring that people see that work. And half the time, if you produce something good, people are going to see it. You know, it's something like Jonathan's work. I think, you know, he publicized on LinkedIn and Instagram, but all of us have seen it because it's good stuff. So it spreads. And then 7, do the right thing. That sounds a bit kind of like a bit left to field, but what I mean by do the right thing is just do the right thing. Do the right thing for your client. Make sure you're producing high quality work. Don't cheat people. You know, give your all to projects, and do the right thing by your company and the people that you're working for. So yeah, that's it. That's the presentation. Probably rushed through that a little bit. I would mention, I said at the start, we are currently hiring. So maybe I'll put something in the YouTube thing, or I'm not sure where to follow up here, but yeah, that's it. That's kind of that's who VMI are, and that's my journey in ArtViz.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, Nick. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you.
You can give us some details, and we can do a post regarding where to share your the fact that you're looking for people, and we can share that on the group as well, or you can put a link on YouTube. Yeah, great presentation. I have a question. How, I mean, obviously you kind of shared some stuff, but how did you decide to just change your career, like have such a massive change in your career? I mean, I don't know anyone who did like went through it like such a, you know, drastic change in their life and their path. Why?
A lot of it, honestly, it's a bit out of necessity. Like archaeology is not the best career, and you know, a lot of the skill sets that I was learning, especially my masters, were pretty transferable. And if you're in archaeology, you kind of understand architecture, and you've got an interest in it to a degree. And I think you know, I started doing some of that work, and just it was quite a natural movement. And we still have a good foot in cultural heritage anyway. I'm probably 20-30% of our work is still in that area anyway. So it's not like we don't do it. But no, to be honest, it was quite odd. I mean, I worked for like a year and a half as an archaeologist in London, and it's pretty heavy work. You're up on site at 6:30 in the morning. You're digging in the freezing cold. You're minimum wage. It wasn't a fantastic situation. And my professor at the time was learning 3D, and he was doing 3D reconstruction. I stayed in contact with him, and I just learned from him all the time, and he'd send me stuff, and I just had a bit of a passion for it. So I had to learn it, and just thought it was wicked. And then I was fortunate enough to just you know, I kind of started picking up the phone and trying to develop work for he and I to work on projects, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of a weird segue.
Why did you get into archaeology in the first place?
Because probably Indiana Jones, I'd imagine. No, but I got really interested in it a bit later in life, probably when I was like 17, 18, because I wanted to, like, I'm not religious, so I wanted to understand why you look the way you do, why that building's shaped that way, and why, you know, why we speak this language. And archaeology can unravel a lot of that, you know, a lot of why we do things, and, you know, biologically, and, you know, in terms of anatomy, in terms of architecture, in terms of everything. So I just felt it's just a very, like, kind of interesting subject. And then, you know, I was intending to take it further and do a PhD in it, or just become a commercial archaeologist. But it's a tough career. It's a really tough career.
What does a commercial archaeologist do?
I was thinking that.
It's awful. It's awful.
Is that when a building site accidentally digs up a Roman mosaic?
Yeah. Well, there's a site in
That sounds
Elephant
really
Castle.
exciting.
No, it's not. There's a site in Elephant Castle that I worked on as an archaeologist, then a visualizer. And it was like, when I was doing the archaeology, I'd go at site, freezing cold, and just dig up dead bodies. It was literally a graveyard from 1945, and then a graveyard from the plague before that. So just bones, and that was it. You know, oh, there's another skull. There's another skull. It was just like that. And then it just basically, you're a construction worker but paid half what a construction worker's paid, and then you just get called a bookworm every time you walk on site. So it wasn't that good. And then so it's not great work. It's very kind of like, it's not great work. But
I think to do it, I suppose. Yeah,
you get a lot of people that they love it and that they're in it. And I think academia is probably a better route. I wasn't super.
It's quite interesting because when I started, before I did ArchViz, a couple of friends and we cornered the market in cheap Egyptian CGIs for documentaries for Channel 5 and that kind of stuff. But we didn't have a clue about archaeology or about Egyptology or anything, but we knew how to use a computer. So we lived on that for about 3 or 4 years, just doing loads of Egyptian stuff. We got quite good at it in the end. But I certainly didn't have a master's in archaeology.
You need to share those with us.
I'll dig it up. It's it was all right, but it's probably still repeated every other night on Channel 5, I think, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But no, that's really fascinating, Nicholas. So my other question is, do you think I know you said you're still involved in sort of heritage, visualizing heritage projects and stuff. That, to me, that really interesting.
You're breaking up, Simon.
I mean, do you use the? Sorry.
Can you
repeat? Do you use
3D
scanning and stuff still?
No, I haven't used 3D scanning. But you're not really seeing it in architecture. Well, you are seeing it in architecture, but you're not seeing it in ArchViz too much, are you? Really?
I have an offline question. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow about that. I've got a very big client who wants to scan a huge property. So yes, it is happening. And the Pharaoh that you showed is the scanner seems to be used quite often. But with your work in real-time engines, are you not seeing more of that creeping in and more photogrammetry and that kind of work, or is it all based off building 3D models?
Well, the real-time stuff is most of what we've done in real time has been to spit it out for a VR headset. Right. And so, like, to a degree, we haven't done like real, like, high heavy duty mega scans or anything like this. But that whole area, just real time and the workflow and like the amount of content you can output from it, it's just finding that really interesting. And then not just in terms of the content you can produce, but Unreal Engine is such a powerful thing in terms of inputting data, outputting data, communicating with different CRM systems and big installations, and it's just a very kind of
So that leads me on to another question. With your studio and the way you're growing the studio and you're working a lot in the States, where do you see the industry going? As a young studio, growing studio, where do you see it in 10 years' time?
Well, I think you've got to stay on your toes in terms of, I think, being just kind of married to one software package or one work process, I think could be dangerous. I think you should try and really assess the client and what it is they're looking to achieve, and that can apply to so many different things. If you look at advertising and kind of branding, it's getting to the core of a message. So if you get stuck in just doing 3ds Max and visualization, that could be a problem. But if you widen the net and say, actually, no, I'm just a problem solver in a visual way, you probably won't, because you can just adapt and they don't even need to necessarily know what software you're using. But if you understand the fundamentals of narrative, fundamentals of composition, light, materiality, and that's your speciality, you'll probably be right, I think, I hope.
Yeah, well, I think software is irrelevant. It is, as you say, it's... has your clientele changed in 8 years? And from when you started?
No, I mean, like, to a degree, like in general, it's still kind of high-end resi, but No, yeah, I mean, I guess in the cultural areas, yeah, that's kind of, it's led us down, you know, we've done some random projects, to be honest. We've done a project for like, you know, pin centuries where you put your bank card in.
Yeah.
We've done a random like shoot 'em up game in Unreal Engine for them. You know, we have done some weird stuff, but that keeps it kind of interesting.
Yes.
But broadly speaking, we are space orientated. So that's everything from architecture to placemaking, culture, leisure.
I've got another question. What does VMI stand for?
I think that's a loaded question. I think I've already told you that.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Honestly, I'll tell you what, honestly, it used to be called White Particle. The company used to be White Particle and had a website, whiteparticle.com. And then I decided to change it, or I lost the URL, or maybe I forgot to pay my bill or something. And then I had to get the project up real quick, and I thought, shit, I need a name, I need a company name. So then I saw it, MIR, and I thought 3 letters, I like that. And then I thought, and I just literally VMI it, and I thought it could be VR, couldn't it? It could be motion, it could be imagery, it could be many things. So I guess coming back to my point on, you know, on business, sometimes you just have to push, and, you know, it means something to me now. But at the time I had to get a name up quick, and you know, you have to sometimes be a bit that way in order to get through in this business. You can't, you know, you spend a month building business cards, and I always feel like whenever you meet someone who's just started a business and the first thing they got is a notepad with a name on it and a business card, you know, they're fucked. They're not paying attention.
It's the scene in American Psycho.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
So relatable. Yeah.
Tell us about your team. What are they all from the UK? Are they from around the world?
I think all of them are from Europe. Yeah, it's a bit of a wide range. You've got like some of the kind of senior artists or the senior management. Ray Van Wingerden, he used to be an engineer, and he's now an associate at VMI Studio. So by associate, it's you know, it's kind of a directorship to a degree. And he started, yeah, like I said, as an engineer. He had an interest in architectural visualization, and he had a real kind of knack for you know, managing projects and, you know, liaise with clients and understanding how to work with, you know, get a team of 4 or 5 and pull in one project and then get another set on other. And you got Godfred and Rich. Both of those guys worked. I think Rich used to work at Grain and Miller Hair. Godfred used to work at Barclay Homes. Kaylee, Miller Hair. You know, yeah, really most of them. Yeah, people from all over, but all from Europe. Nobody from outside of Europe. I don't know. Never before, I don't think. But all with, you know, all of them have either worked at interior design or architectural engineering, something kind of pretty related to it. Product design.
Joe?
How big is the team right now?
16 of us in total, and then we have a lot of perma freelancers, you know, people that come in and be there for 6 months, and so, but yeah, all in.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's
a great size.
Yeah, and I mean, I always wonder how to scale that up, and if you want to scale it up, it's a really like it's a transitional period, I think, when you get to that size. And you know, someone like Hayes, how many Hayes Davison, Olga? How many Hayes?
Got over 30 people now.
You know, heavy wage bill, isn't it?
And that's it. That's the other side of business, is the relentless wage bill that comes in every single month. People's mortgages, people's feeding people's families, and it doesn't stop. That's that whole balance of. Anyway, that's our next conversation.
I think it's supposed to be advertising, starting business, and going freelance in this session, aren't we, Nigel? I thought that's what we're making it sound terrible.
No, not at all. Actually, it sounds really exciting to start your own business. Because you're in charge, you're responsible for everything, and that's cool.
I think there's good and bad to it. It's good in the sense that you're responsible for everything. In like every sense of that, you are responsible for everything, the work and people's livelihood and their well-being. But at the same time, it's really bad because you're responsible for everything. So,
well, there's always, I guess, ups and downs to every single situation, anyway. But I mean, at least your passion is it's heard, it's there, and it's what you're passionate about. It's what you like. This is cool. And especially just give me a second, especially because your past experience, your career before that, and now you're able to do like projects that are kind of related to that as well. That's really cool because you can mix that, and I feel that's really interesting. And the project you share that was quite delicate, it's also really, I mean, this is really interesting, and this is like you're almost working another job as well doing this project. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Even that project there is like those kind of projects are like they're kind of labor of love to a degree. Like they're the ones that I really find myself just really getting heavily involved in. And even that project, there was one day when we actually showed it to a Holocaust survivor who was part of the Warsaw Gulags, where people getting turfed out of Warsaw, and he was actually there at the time, and so he tried on the headset. And that was a pretty mad experience to see him try on see the streets that been bombed in 43. So it's kind of those kind of projects are, I find those ones are really, really enjoyable to work on.
Yeah, because I guess they mix your both passion for CGI but passion for history as well.
Yeah.
And this is why having your own business, kind of, you can choose what projects you pick, where your passion goes, which is really, really nice.
That was actually a question from Howard on YouTube for you, Nick. On a personal level, do you prefer visualizing the future or recreating the past?
Ooh, cool question.
Probably okay. Well, like I don't do that. I don't really do visuals myself now, if I'm honest with you. So I'm not on the tools. So, but the projects, I would probably find myself maybe a bit more interested in the historic stuff, because it just appeals to me personally. But what I enjoy most about VMI is just the breadth of the projects, and like every day you come in and there's a new problem to solve, or one day you're focusing on just like one really like beautiful high-end interior, and the next day you're doing something kind of a bit different, but you're still applying the same fundamental rules, which is make sure it looks really, really good, and then also try and do something slightly different with it. But probably the past.
I think this Indiana Jones in you still.
Oh yeah, I actually watched that 2 nights ago. Good night.
Here's one: London or New York?
Pick New York.
So,
what are you talking about for work?
For work. Yeah.
New York. Yeah, definitely New York.
It's interesting.
Why?
Because
Why is a cool question? Always why?
Because I think that D-Box did a very good job of getting people to respect what we do out there. And I think that London's a bit more saturated.
But don't you see there has been a wave of UK, or especially London studios who have moved into the New York market, and VMI is one of them. Is there enough work to sustain the imported UK companies? Or is it ferocious? Is it as ferociously as competitive as it is here?
Well, it definitely is competitive, but it's a bit like here as well, though. Like in the sense of, in the sense of, there's a lot of art viz companies in the world, aren't there? I don't know how many are there. 10,000 maybe.
They all go to D2.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
There are a lot of them, but a lot of them can't deliver over a certain amount of work. So when you're dealing with plus 20 renders and an animation and whatnot, there's a barrier to entry there, and like as soon as you hit that barrier to entry, the number becomes maybe 10, 15 of them that can deliver certain project sizes.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. Yeah. I think there's a lot of upcoming sort of London studios that have sort of tapped into a new aesthetic, sort of the new London look, I would call it, which is very nice. But when you get to a certain project size, you need a big team to be able to service that.
Yeah, and then there's the other challenge of how do you maintain quality and everything else that comes with that.
Good.
You guys were talking about New York or London. I mean, don't sleep on Vienna. There's some good schnitzel here.
No one's sleeping on that.
But the truth is, there are projects everywhere. Like I said, like one of our biggest projects this year is in Nigeria. We're doing Nigeria and then Sri Lanka, Turks and Caicos. So this, I don't just think there's just the big cities like Melbourne or London. It's what we offer is great and valuable to a lot of people. And I think as soon as you're building anything, you have some money to put behind marketing, even if it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kidding. Vienna's not big enough anyway. Like it's a metropolitan city, but it's not big enough to handle the kind of volume. Whereas London and New York and other large cities, I mean, they're just a lot more bigger and much more diverse. So I mean, that's always a case too. I mean, I my first place that I worked, I grew up. I went to school in Arkansas. I went to New York right after I was done. I mean, it's like it's a not unusual thing to do. So I totally understand that. But Vienna is great for conferences.
It's fantastic for conferences. Especially in August.
Schnitzel?
In August.
Beer and schnitzel. I mean, come on.
Let's bring Jonathan on this, because Brazil is such an enormous fizz market right now, and that there are thousands and thousands of people who are in the industry I mean, Jonathan, do you ever have a sort of desire to go back and set up in Brazil?
Not really, to be honest. I quite like the UK, to be very honest with you. I know
You're
there's
anglicized.
What's that?
You're anglicized.
Yeah. But I don't know, like we're really enjoying here, and I know there's a lot of people doing CGI down there right now. But I don't know. I think the plan is to kind of stay here, or you never know. Right now, everyone's kind of working remotely and stuff. So if you want to go there and just spend some time and work internationally, that's amazing as well, because the currency exchange is pretty good in a way.
Absolutely, it has all changed basically, hasn't it?
Yeah. But I don't know. I think the idea is stay in the UK. And to be quite honest, like that was one of the reasons like why to move to London, just because of that, because we knew the business was kind of here. Obviously, it is a bit saturated, as you guys say, but I don't know. There's still space. I'm doing okay, so it kind of tells that in a way. But yeah, and to be fairly honest, I barely worked in the Brazilian industry. When I was working there, I was literally like a small freelancer doing all kinds of things, like from photography to architecture visualization. So I don't really know how exactly the business works down there. There are big companies though.
Yeah, but I think it is growing as the country and the economy grows. Internally, there is so much work that it's generating, like any developing economy.
Definitely. I don't know. I think the next couple of years we're going to see a lot of what's going to happen out there. And the other thing is there's the whole the politics down there don't seem quite good as well. So that's gonna say a lot coming up.
Yeah.
I think what's the currency round? What's the
in Brazil? It's the Brazilian real.
Yeah, real, and that's quite low as well, I think, isn't it? At the moment, I think it's
it's like 8-1 right now, which is insane. When I moved to the UK, it was 4-1. So it's basically double. So it's crazy. When you go travel there, it's good. So, but when you're there, not that good.
Cool. Shall we, Olga? Is Olga popped out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we?
She had to go.
Move to the next subject.
Yeah, we have a bit of data collected. That sounds bad. We did the survey with people like communicating about the future of work. We kind of discussed some of these things and how the world has obviously changed to people being able to work remotely and just go for a few months here and there if they want to. And we asked a bit of questions, how what people faced as challenges during this time, or it's another big thing is how flexible we would be in the future. Would we all want to go back in the studio full time, like working in the office 100%, or for people who haven't done any remote working before, is that something they would like to do in the future, or they really miss the office? So that's kind of one of the discussions we're planning to have tonight. And I can start with like getting some of a bit of a whole overview what answers we got, and it seems that people would like to keep going to the studio a few days a week, but that is not always anymore. But for me personally, I would love to go to the studio as much as I can. I would love to be in physical presence because I really miss this kind of communication with people, like exchange of energy and ideas. But how is that for you guys? And do you miss being in like physical in the office? Would you like to keep on being remotely from time to time? Would you like to, be flexible? Or how is that for you?
Well, let's ask the viewers to write in the chat to get them to respond.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And actually, I can go through some of the answers of what people are saying for example, do you want to go back to the studio and how often you want to stay there? Most of the people I can see, they've said that they're happy to work from home full time, or they would like to go to the studio a few days a week, but there's just 2 people. I believe I'm one of them who said that they always want to be in the studio.
So before we started, Nick and I started chatting about this, and as an employer, and now, so it's all good and well asking employees what they feel like they would want, but as an employer, I actually want my staff to come back into work. If I've got a studio and the reason you build a studio and you build a team is that you want to work with a team. You want that team around you to feed off, and you don't get that from working from home. Nick, you were saying your team has been working remotely, but you're wanting to start to get them into work or give them the choice.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are asking for flexi working already. A few, people, yeah. And I think, well, I've got to be a bit careful what I say, actually.
Look, I don't. I can say it.
You've got to be really careful. You've got to be really careful.
Well, my opinion, broad strokes, is I think. All right. Well, if you were starting out a career in carpentry and your boss offered you to work from home or come in and work in the shop, who do you think is going to do better in their career? And I'm not just what the boss thinks, but who's going to learn the most? Who's going to learn the most?
So following on that train of thought, we always found that it's working with freelancers, working with people, and Tom's probably going to disagree, but we found that by bringing people into the studio, so everyone learned off one another, within like a week, the person who's worked by themselves for 5 years saying, I'm learning so much from my peers around me that I didn't actually know myself, because you do things.
I don't disagree with that.
Oh, that's nice, Tom.
No way.
But you do things your way, and you don't learn from ways that other people work. And I think, Tom, you brought that up in your talk last year.
Yeah. I mean, having periods of time where you freelance for a studio, just being one person, having the ability to then go and freelance for certain studios, gives you that exactly that. You go and learn a few new things. You go and socialize more. You just gain a lot from doing it. I'm not saying that I want to do it all the time, but it's certainly something I enjoy doing when I do it.
I think it's perhaps because I work for a firm of architects. For the CGI team, I think working from home works really well. But what we have done this year as an architectural is we haven't taken on any part ones, which is a real shame. I mean, it must be dreadful if you're a part one, because you become a part one to learn from the team, and if nobody's in the studio, you can't learn anything.
What's a part one?
So that's when you're a graduate. So you're not a qualified architect, but you've done the first of 3 stages. And it's a real shame.
I'm just not familiar with that.
Yeah,
what that is in Great Britain now.
I completely agree, Simon. I think the biggest problem is at the junior level. I think senior level where these guys have learned most of, well, not most, hopefully they keep learning, but they've got the fundamentals, and they can work, and they've proven themselves to be trustworthy to a degree. I think the problem is when you've got juniors and lower mids. I mean, that's just, I think even just being at that age and not having experience of going to work and being in that environment, I don't think it's healthy for them. And I also think you're not going to learn. Senior level, I think it's a different story. I think it's a different story when talking senior level. But
I also think
that's what's worrying, is that you could get this whole generation of talent that just misses the boat because they can't get into the studio and learn from other people. And it tends to be senior people who are fine working from home because they've got an office and they're comfortable. But there are younger people who are, if you come to London and it means you share a flat or a house, you've literally just spent a year working in your bedroom and not learning anything from the other people in the firm. It's a nightmare situation.
I'd like to add that you can have. Having done this now for quite a long time, you really do go through cycles where you love it. Everything about working from home, being your own boss is fantastic. To the other point, the completely other extreme. And I think the longer you do it, the cycles get a little bit steeper and a little bit bigger. So I think there will be maybe a big feeling at the moment where people want to work at home. But I would say give it 12 months and they'll all be desperate to get back into a studio.
Didn't we already give it 12 months?
But that's out of necessity. I think out of choice.
Yeah,
and then see what happens.
AJ has a good point.
Career, I was working from home basically as a freelancer before I was good enough to get a job with a company. And I touched on it earlier. There were 3 or 4 of us. We didn't really have any experience, and we just sort of grouped together. And luckily found out that people needed cheap CGIs of Egyptian temples and stuff. But it was difficult. It was really, really hard to get work and to learn anything new. It was just it's a really tough gig. If you could know everything about 3D Max or Houdini or anything like that, but until you've worked in an office and you've got a couple of years experience making clients happy, basically, it's really tough to know, to where to put your energy in. And people think that, it's easy to think that, well, I'm a whiz at 3D programs, but that's 50% of it, most of your job and most of the value as a good visualizer or a good CG artist, or probably any kind of job you could say this about it, is how you communicate skills. And if you're not in an office learning that from other people, it's really hard.
But Simon, you're 100% correct on, if you like, socializing. And if you get a puppy, you've got to socialize that puppy with taking it to puppy training. What we're missing out here is human contact. We're all forgetting how to actually work in an office environment with one another.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've realized that I've done far less of this year is just quick conversations with somebody in an architectural team who needs help with V-Ray for SketchUp or a Photoshop question, and just little things that I would do every day without thinking about it. And yeah, I'm on the end of a Teams call, but it's not the same as someone thinking, oh, I'll go upstairs and ask Simon how to do this. And that's just the CGI side of it. And for architects, that has a whole other level of stuff they're missing out on if they're a part one, or they can't go and talk to someone that's done it before. It's really, really tough. And that's why I don't think working from home is a be all and end all. Definitely, I think there's a split, because everyone's seen that working from home can be lovely if you've got if you're comfortable enough, if you're lucky enough to have an office and everything. But yeah, I think it's going to be a year or two, but then it's going to get far closer to how things used to be.
What about AJ had a question in the chat about travel and the cost of travel, and it was spending 3 hours a day going to and from work. I mean, is that a good use of your time?
No, well, it would be a good point, except I bought a £3,000 bicycle instead of using the tube, so that hasn't worked out cheaper for me at all.
Personally, the cost of travel is ridiculous, and actually over the years that sort of has had to be a factor into whether or not you want to go into London. And the time itself, I don't think really is that big a deal. So, well, not from somewhere like Reading anyway. And in a way, the routine of going into London was actually, being part of the day, that whole going to work and going home, sort of switching off as you leave an office. I think that's quite healthy. I don't mind the whole commute on the whole, but I think the price of it, the fact that it is so expensive, that does make you think twice about whether or not you want to do it.
Yeah, but
Vienna has a €365 full year full system. There you go, guys. Come on. Hey,
you go on about Vienna.
Is that all it is?
No, but I actually want to
give me an offer, Jason. I'm there.
My insight into that, because I've been always a self-employed person, and I've been doing architecture visualization. And then for a while, I worked with a couple other guys in an office, and then I was in like a shared office. And this was the best experience that I've ever had. I kind of worked sometimes with those people, but most of the time on my own. But the thing is I absolutely hate working at home. I hate it. It is the worst thing ever. I can't get half the stuff done that I need to get done because I'm distracted all the time. I have to, seriously, stuff like this, hang up the laundry, empty the dishwasher. It's there, so I do it, right? It's like, I got to make some lunch for the kids. I'm doing this and all the other things. When I was in the office, I was like, I'm in the office, I work. There's nothing else I do there. I work, and that's it. Okay, I smoke a cigarette once in a while, whatever, but I worked, And I really missed that. I was so much more focused beforehand. I have a bit much more of a problem with focus now than I did before. And I know that's why, because I'm sitting here in my house. And I think that perhaps some people can do a better job with that, but I don't know. I think that it's, being with the other people and with the team, sometimes it's also can be annoying to be with the other people, but at the same time, there's some kind of focus that's coming from that place. And being with those other people on a constant basis. Like they're right there. It's not like you have to get on a video call with them to actually see them anymore.
But that,
so
Jason,
I have to say myself, I even as a single person, I really enjoy being in the office with other people, even though I wasn't even working with them, all the time. So
I was going to say that could be in a shared office, such as where Emma is, where you've actually got people. You don't necessarily have to be an office like Simon's, but it could be there's a bunch of different people sharing the same workspace.
Well, I mean, the other advantage is that if you're, it's the saying, out of sight, out of mind. If I was sitting with those people, there was a guy who was an architect there. He had a couple of people who were working with him off and on. They'd have a project to be like, hey, we need some visualization. Oh, okay, we do some stuff with you. So I had jobs to do sometimes just from the people that I was sitting around. That doesn't happen now. I'm not there. They don't see me. There's no interaction anymore. And
that used to be how in the past, the out of sight, out of mind was my policy of making any excuse whatsoever to go and see a client and walk through their office and then go, oh, actually, you're the visualizer guy. We've got to talk to you. And that's how business got done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's not just it's not just about your well-being and learning, but it's contacts, isn't it? Once you hit a certain age, you may look at your contacts, and even people here probably known a few of you a couple of years and whatnot and seen around. But if you're at home, you're not going to make those contacts, and your contacts are your potential source of either a new job or new revenue. And like you say, that kind of happen chance thing happens. Well, used to happen weekly, didn't it? You happen to be sat with someone from a marketing agency, and they happen to know this architect and and then they pass you on, and it's that, that's how economy goes. That's how it works. So,
but this is for the conference as well. I mean, this is like how I got almost all of the sponsors that we had for the D2 conference. Was I went to other conferences and actually, I mean, it sounds bad, but I tracked people down, and I said, hey, I would like to talk to you. Let's talk or whatever. And of course, I wouldn't open with, I want you to, how much money can you give me? But the point was that I could actually have conversations with people about what we were doing face to face and get them and have a conversation with them. I mean, it's almost impossible to get somebody on a video call. I mean, you just can't do it. It's they have to decide if they want to do it or not. But at the conference, I was able to talk to people and meet people and make those relationships. I can't do this right now. And it's really hard. It makes it a lot more difficult. Luckily, we have relationships in place already, but otherwise it's becoming more difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, once you see people in person, they can really catch on your passion and like what goes behind what you want to do, So it's kind of it's easier to communicate anyway and communicate your idea.
You got to balance it there as well, because on the plus side, working from home, I figured out I spend 4 hours a year just standing on the up escalator at Angel tube station. So you got to figure out there is definitely a balance there.
But that balance is also enables you to it's downtime, and having all your kit at home. There is no downtime.
It's also interaction. You're getting visual input all the time when you do these things. When you go from one place to another, sometimes it gets so boring and it's taking all this time. But at the same time, you're getting visual input. I've gotten inspiration from those times where I'm thinking, I'm so bored. I start thinking about stuff. I see something and I start thinking about something. I don't have this at all anymore. I have like zero input anymore, except for, I don't know, Netflix or something. Or I can look outside,
You've also maybe had the time to read a book, etc.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily do at home, or rather you should, but you just don't have the time. You don't find the time. Because if you're stuck on a train, you'll go, oh, I'll read a book.
So to summarize, it's not for everyone. It works really well for some, and some people thrive at it. But I think, as Josh sort of said earlier on, there are extroverts who love it, and there are introverts who don't mind where they're working.
Sorry, go on, Nigel.
Well, Simon's got to go in a minute, but shall
we
move on to the next question? Or
no, I just saw that we have comments on YouTube.
Okay. Shall we go through those?
Yeah. We have a question of, would you take an intern or student working remotely, which I felt like is a big thing right now, because I've heard of, there are companies who would like to train people on site, which makes a lot of sense because it cuts wasting time, in terms of like how you train someone and show them the craft in actually someone sitting next to you. So would you take an intern or student working remotely? Where would you see the challenges for the intern at the company providing coaching? That's quite an interesting, especially.
Nick, that's for you.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We did take an intern, and I think the experience suffered because of remote working. I know it suffered. I think experience would have been way better, which I regret, because when as you're an intern, when you first start working, you remember getting excited, don't you? Going to work, you remember getting the train, you remember the whole experience. Going to an office, it might be your first office, it might be you get a coffee. It's not just the room, and it's not just the contacts. Yeah. It's the whole entire thing. You're not living. None of us are really living now, particularly well. We're not walking down the street and seeing a nice tree, or we're not bumping into people. So yeah, I think, well, actually, yeah, I think we have done. And would I again? Don't know. Maybe. I guess maybe. But I think it wasn't a great experience for them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think from what we've have experienced as well in the studio I work at, Inc., we have, we have discussed that in, and that was a long discussion of how do you give the best to the person who would start, or someone who is a student or intern graduate who is just about to start. And we concluded on the fact that it's way better to have someone in person, because for them would be as well as good as it would be for you. So it's kind of a win-win if you have someone next to you, because you can really show them how, everything, not just, as you said, not just like, oh, this is what I click to render, or this is the best setting I use, but just the whole experience of being around like a creative people in a creative studio, because that's another thing I really missed when I was working, because I'm kind of back in the studio now, but when I was working remotely, think like the creative atmosphere around you, like the creative chats and conversation that would just you have around lunchtime, or all these things for someone who is just starting in the studio in the industry. It's really important, I think, to have like the input from different people who are having more experience in this industry than them. It's kind of really important, but it's at the same time it's kind of tricky, because now you can't really work on site straight away, so it has to have this balance of maybe a few days in the studio and a few days remotely. So it's really it's really
definitely. It's also if you're an intern, I think for an intern it's after, when you keep on asking somebody next to you, oh, how do you do this, how do you do that, I think they start to feel a bit sit here for an hour, I'm not going to ask. And imagine that on Slack.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And they can't, and it's a process too, because it means get on Zoom, share screen, as opposed to quick, showing it all. So I think like Sam was saying at the start, it's the juniors that's starting out that really be suffering here. Like they don't, their living conditions not going to be as nice. They're not going to know, they're not going to be learning, they won't be making contact. So it's those guys that are really getting screwed here.
Yeah.
So interns and juniors, okay, this is not financial advice. Interns and juniors become a crypto day trader for about another 6 months to a year, and then go and start to, look for a job. And maybe you'll be rich enough you won't have to work ever again.
Jason, I have a crypto story for you, but it's too good to share on the internet. I'm going to make you a rich man. Don't you worry about it.
Great.
So in general, it works. I mean, if you're a senior, you can likely work from home. I think Jeff Mottle brought up a good topic a while back on compliance and software compliance and using your own computers, working from home whilst working for a company, and
that's quite interesting.
Then getting stung for it, and it's like, who pays the bill? Is it, if I was working for VMI and I was using dodgy software, are they going to come after me, or am I contracted to VMI?
Can't you use your company's licensed software on your own computer? Is that not allowed?
That was the issue, yeah. That was the issue that was coming up.
But because they've had home licenses for a long time, so I presume.
Yeah, but
then the computer at home, maybe they had some expired trial license on, and then they put that license on there, and then it saw the other licenses on the private computer, and then it was being alerted, and then the company was becoming liable for something, and that was where the problem was coming. So you can't control anymore the computer where the license is, you know, if you have to send it, let people put it on their home computer,
and they can see all of the licenses that
exactly
you have,
they can.
all of the licenses that you have.
So
it's a bit unfair, but I mean,
it's software. And so Google announced that it's trying to make its staff come back into the office, and whereas 6 months ago they said, you know, everyone was going to be able to work from home, they're now seeing that the formula is not working, and they need people to come back and start working as a team.
Yeah.
Facebook's following suit. So are we seeing a shift? I think 3-4 months ago, we were already amped and positive that we could work from an island or work from wherever we want. And yes, some people can.
No, I think these big companies said what people wanted to hear at the time. But at the end of the day, nobody wants their people that they're paying to work from home. They want to see them in an office where they can see what they're doing. I think that's pretty much a fact. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for all of the reasons that we've touched on. I think it can be good and bad. And I think what will happen is, because I'm an eternal optimist, I think that people will be able to work from home for a couple of days a week without feeling bad about it. And I think probably that's a good outcome for everybody.
That seems to be the ideal situation for people anyway. I mean, having the flexibility to be able to stay at home whenever you need it, but then go to work as well. So you can get on this, you know, communication. But I can see the people in the chat.
I'm awfully sorry, I've got to go. I've got 2 boys upstairs. So I'm going to go and check up on them. But I'm going to catch up on the rest of the chat on YouTube a bit later tonight. But I just wanted to say before you, Nick and Jonathan, thank you so much. Fantastic presentations, and to the whole panel, because it's been really interesting conversations. And carry on, and I'll catch up with them a bit later.
Just to qualify what Simon said,
hi, Simon.
These are his children. They are his children he has upstairs.
They are my children upstairs. Yeah, sorry.
Good point.
They know that. They've seen them eat pasta. A year ago, they watched them all eat pasta and got chastised for eating it wrong.
That's why Fabio has been banned.
Yeah, I know, right, Fabio. So next time we need Fabio. We definitely missing Nikos's cocktails as well. So we need to get the gang back in.
Yeah. True.
I'm missing Josh's facial hair. You know.
Yeah.
Bye, Simon.
Bye, Simon.
Cheers.
Bye.
You too.
Yeah, we need the drinks. We need a cocktail. And saying that, like, I say cheers to whoever's drinking still, because I'm still in the wine.
There it is.
Good.
It's not Aperol.
I'd like to hear that.
It's not Aperol. It's beer. But I really love these glasses. So.
Yeah, very sophisticated glass for a beer. I would say that. Yeah, so I was about to say that in the comments, I can see that people are actually enjoying working from home because they can see family and people they love, which is another great point as well. You know, being able to spend time with the, you know, with the
well
people.
Overrated.
Okay.
And I'm with you, Tom. I hope nobody's. I really don't think that my wife and kids are watching, but it is overrated, yeah. Because because you know what the problem is that my wife is also she has changed jobs. She started at the beginning of the lockdown. She was working for a software company, and she did not have to go to the office at all. She worked 100% at home. Now she's working for another company where she spends maybe 2 days in the office and 3 at home. But during this time of the software, she's sitting right next to me. So it was impossible. We had to like coordinate meeting times, you know, like, and then sometimes, and I'm loud, you know, like when I'm sitting and I'm talking, I don't pay attention to how loud I'm talking. I'm like screaming into the, you know, into the microphone, and she can only hear my side of the conversation. So, you know, this is leading to a few problems, right? Because we're constantly doing this. Yeah. And, you know, and then my kids are older, they're 15, 17, no problem there, but it's still just it's not the same, you know, as when you can separate yourself from what's going on. Has nothing to do with not liking to see them and all that. But for me, it's just easier to like get into work mode for sure. But I understand having a couple days at home. This could be definitely a solution, because then you get a couple more days where you have more time with the family, and that's actually not a bad thing. It's the 24/7 thing, I think, that is, you know, especially when the kids were on the total lockdown from school, like when they were always here. This you could feel it. It was cabin fever style happening for sure, you know.
Yeah, otherwise, the school day, the routine of all of that just helps massively. Exactly. With the work as well, you know, just helps frame everything a bit. Yeah, you know, and any sort of routine, I think, is good when you're working at home.
Emma, you've kept quiet through all this. Do you miss going into the office?
I do. I think, like, for me, it depends what you're doing on the day, like what your schedule is, I guess, because if I know I just need to work on a project and put my headphones on and crack on with it all day, then it just feels like a huge waste of time spending 2 hours traveling like £20 on the train just to sit there with my headphones on and not have that time to speak. But I definitely miss like hanging out with people, the socializing, like also just having those little conversations over a coffee, you know. I think like that's the time where you get to vent a little bit, and you do, you know, stuff's resolved so much quicker. Like you just stand up, ask someone something, and it's sorted. Whereas I think the problem with video calls is everyone's really scared to put them in, like unless it has a specific agenda and you're definitely going to get something out of it. Like you don't really just have a Zoom call for a chat, and I think that's definitely what's missing when you're just working at home by yourself.
Well, we're opposite. We have Slack on chatting away all day, and it's almost becoming embarrassing that you're actually forgetting that you're live to a bunch of other people and start talking to your family and chatting. Oh, hang on a sec, I'm at work. And it's almost like you need the red light on the wall when you're working. And Jason, this would probably work for you. It's like I'm in work mode, now I'm in family mode. It's being at home. It's difficult.
Well, the other thing is, you know, we during the lockdown, like, wow, it's been a year already, but we got a dog, a really awesome dog, but it was a puppy. So, you know, that was another thing that, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm having a meeting with somebody, and all of a sudden the dog starts barking like ridiculous. Like, what is happening? You know, I have to take care of the dog. He's super awesome now. He's like actually down here with me. He's totally asleep, but you know, these kind of things they're kind of funny though. I mean, in a way, because, you know, you're everybody gets to share in your, and I've shared in other people's home stuff as well, you know, like while you're on a meeting or something and some things are happening. So I guess it's kind of funny in a way.
I've got a little parrot and a kitten currently that are on rotation between the living space here and then out there. So sometimes you got a little parrot and then kitten, and then they either try and kill each other. And then when the parrot's here, I was sitting in a meeting the other day. I just sit here, and it was a very important meeting with the marketing director, and all of a sudden it just went just on my head. Like,
you totally have to go and get him.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We need to see the parrot.
Yeah.
Was it last month that we had all the dogs on?
Yeah.
We've never had a parrot on, so this is a premiere.
Oh, the dogs were awesome.
I know, yeah.
Someone said something
ship on the whole lockdown puppy, the old lockdown parrot.
Yeah. Somebody wrote in the thing about the the licensing issue, that they think it was student licenses, but I think also that anybody who's watching who hasn't seen that article by Jeff on CG Architect, go check out CG Architect. I don't know where it is exactly on there, but you can probably find it about the licensing issue, because he describes some situations, very specific situations that happened with companies.
Yeah, it's very.
They got charged a lot as well, didn't they?
Well, it's just a whole. I mean, it just took. I don't know if they got charged anything in the end. It's just the whole fact of having to go through the whole audit and everything. For people who are paying. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But he's alive, right?
Do they really like to sit on your head a lot? Is that like a thing?
Oh my god.
When it happened,
It's moving.
It's looking at us.
When it happened, the client wasn't laughing, so I had to keep a straight face. I was like,
He's like, you've got a bird on your head.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Oh, look at
great.
that.
Oh,
That's-
wow.
Oh,
That's cute, man. He's nice.
it's really cute.
Tiny.
So cool.
What's his name?
Lolly.
You had
It's a bit
an
funny,
audio.
Lolly.
Lolly.
Oh, cool.
Does Lolly talk?
No, it's a lovebird. Yeah.
Oh.
How big does it get to, or is that it? Is that the size?
I think that's it. I'll be honest, they're bloody annoying, so I recommend not getting them. I'm very tempted to just push this open after this.
No. Fergus is asking to get the cat as well.
Yeah, no. Well, I've done that earlier, and there was. I could do, but I think you'll see.
That's really
It's not
dangerous.
PC. Not PC what we see. Yeah,
The-
that's after hours.
We've had cats on. It's Lolly's the first bird. So
We've got a cat. We've got a cat too, and the dog likes to chase the cat around, so that's a lot of fun.
Oh, brilliant!
That was perfect.
This does a shit on my laptop occasionally as well.
Yeah.
I'm typing.
So see, we're like displaying like all of the things of working from home right now. It's like my daughter came down here a minute ago. My wife, they're both like, "Oh, can they see us? Can they see me?" And I'm like, "No, I've got a thing. Don't worry, just go by." So, yeah.
Anyway,
maybe we're gonna be I'm still hopeful that maybe this is going to work itself out this year. I'm hoping. I mean, I don't know anymore. I just don't know.
But put it this way: in March 2020, how many of us were doing video calls?
What you mean?
Before we were forced to do this, how many of us were just hey, look, let's get on a Zoom call?
No way.
I did it with
Fabio. I was doing quite a lot at work.
With Fabio, we did it.
Yeah.
But nobody else.
I'd also say that in some ways the Zoom is. I feel like there is some positive attributes there, because I feel like if you want to have a meeting with a client, you send them a Zoom link. Sometimes going to a meeting an hour and a half back and forth, that type of thing. So it might be that you have potentially more actual communication with some certain clients, because you could just drop them a Zoom link, whereas you'd have to go see them maybe once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks on a big project. So you just fire them a Zoom link. Maybe you speak to them every other day.
But
I know what Nigel's saying. It's like normalized.
But it has become normalized. But as Jason said before, that's fine doing a one-on-one because that's very organized. But I think as humans, there's an element of chaos we like opportunity. You walk down the street, hey, I haven't talked to that person, or you go to a conference, hey, I'm just going to go and do a deal. And all of that is gone because you have to pre-plan everything. You've got to invite someone. You can't just hey, I haven't talked to that person in 6 months. Let me just go and have a chat.
Yeah, but the other thing was like the complete coincidence perspective, like that things that was happening as well. Like I'd be talking to one person and they'd be like, hey, wait, I need you should meet this other person. And they would take you over and meet this person. That's impossible now. It's impossible. You can get recommendations. Somebody says, oh yeah, maybe you should talk to this person. Then you're like, oh, okay, what's their email? Oh, I got an email. And they're like, okay, who are you and what is going on? It's like everything takes 10 times longer now, to get to any kind of meaningful conversation with someone.
So I have a small story around that and around the whole lockdown thing. So was it two weeks ago, I'd taken the dog for a walk. It was when London had some crazy warm weather, but it was 20 degrees or something. I was walking past my neighbour's place who was outside having a glass of wine, and we stopped. We were having a chat, and her neighbour came out and to drop the rubbish off, came over, had a chat. We started talking about TV and, who do you know, da-da-da-da-da. And it turned out that they were working on a TV show that a exec director had contacted me about a week before then, and it prompted me to actually contact the exec to say, hey, you wouldn't believe who I just bumped into last night, which basically led to today to winning the job. And that was purely a coincidence of just meeting and chatting to someone on the street. It would not have happened, as it didn't happen the week before talking to the exec. That was all about a pre-planned meeting.
So much of business is that. Lots of businesses just rely purely on networking.
Well, I mean, that's how I even got into doing what I'm doing right now. I went to a conference because I wanted to see Eric de Broche talk from Luxagon, and it was here in Vienna. And I met Fabio and Christian, the other partner in our company now. And it was even a few months later that we got together and started talking about stuff. But that's how it happened. And it would never have happened if it would never happen on a video call. That's just impossible. So, those things, I think this is actually a little bit problematic. It's like those new things are the things that those new coincidences, those are not happening right now at all.
So here's a follow-up to that. If you're a freelancer working from home in your home office, how do you find work?
It's
Tom? I guess you rely much more on social media and stuff, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Being very reactive.
Where are you finding most of your works coming from? Is it through your work and your imagery on social media, or is it contacts?
Existing contacts for me. Yeah.
I was going to say that's actually, it seems to would be the most logical place. I literally have had almost nothing. I've had only thing I've had is from existing contacts, but otherwise I have hardly anything. And
so let me shoot myself in the foot here. What's the point of social media?
Well, I'm not doing it. The problem is I'm not really doing it that well. I didn't like promote myself that much because of the whole D2 stuff. I was really focused on that, but this whole year has thrown it all in a big, loop. So I don't know. It's getting better, of course, but I wasn't ready for that at all. I have to say, I literally was not ready for this whole thing to happen. If I'd been like on top of it and like promoting myself more, it would have been easier, I think.
I agree. Same as you, Jace.
Yeah.
I also think in answer to the question, Nigel, I heard of Jonathan's work probably at least 2 years ago. I saw it on LinkedIn, so I do think there's a point of social media.
That was a really interesting point earlier that Jonathan brought up, the social media side of it, because you were right. You see Jonathan's work on Instagram or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and it's really eye-catching, and it's really and you just it's him now as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. That's the point of social media, I guess.
So let me follow up on
Nigel,
that.
I would say that it absolutely is important, and that's exactly why I probably didn't have as much work as I should have had, is that I didn't focus on it enough coming in beforehand, because I was so focused on the D2 stuff. Now the D2 social media stuff, that was always there because I was doing it. Fabio and I were like constantly putting stuff out, but I wasn't ever doing stuff for my own like thing that I'm doing. So that was something that I overlooked. And I think people should definitely be focused on it, because that's the only way that people are going to see what you're doing.
But then, how do you use social media in terms of it? You bring up LinkedIn, and yes, I've had a lot of work through LinkedIn, and I've made a lot of contacts through it by basically reaching out to people. Like Nick, you said 2 years ago you saw Jonathan's work on LinkedIn. I mean, if that was me, I would have just written to him and say, "Hey, I like your work." And that there's a lot of, I've used that for I don't know how many years to find work. What about other networks? What is the most popular social network that you find you get work through? Or is it a combination of?
I think for me particularly, my biggest job that I've got, for instance, was from Behance, but that I suppose that was out of coincidence. But other than that, LinkedIn and Instagram, there's a cat.
Oh, hi, cat.
You like Jeremy?
It's like you've got a farm. It's like you've got a farm.
Bloody irritating is what it is.
I love it how he's just sitting there. It's so cool. So is there a priority in terms of how often you are using it for your business sense, and not promoting or self-promoting work, but you're using it to make contacts?
Well, what's the point of self-promoting if it's not to bring you clients at the end of the day, isn't it? I mean, you want to self-promote not just because you really like your work and you want to put it out there. I mean, it is one of the things, but you obviously want to show it to people so you can get connections and clients and get an outcome of what you've done.
Yeah. And I find that interesting, because there's a lot of people that go and they say, hey, I had people telling me, they're like, dude, you're just promoting too much. It looks like you're desperate. And I go like, you don't really know what I'm trying to do, and you don't really know, where I want to get. And if it wasn't for work, why the hell would I be on LinkedIn, for instance? Something like, oh, why would I be on Behance? Do I want to, make art? It just doesn't make any sense then. So I don't know.
I'm sorry. Did you say somebody told you that you look desperate for posting, or what?
Yeah, that's way too much.
I actually
I'm not doing too well. That.
Yeah, that's what the first thing that came to my mind.
I don't
just jealousy.
This is a hate. This is like classic hater behavior. And
well, it was actually close friends, and they said, like, look, it's just looking a bit desperate. But I was like, dude, I'm trying to get the business out of the ground, so off the ground. Sorry. And if that's the way to go, that's the way to go.
But you're showing work that you've done, which is what it's all about. The fact that you've done really great projects in quick succession is great.
Yeah, but it's also, it depends on, I'm sorry, hi Josh.
No,
I'll forget my mind. But it depends on what your friends are doing as well, because if they're not in this industry or if they're not doing anything creative, it's a bit weird for them to understand. Because I had comments on people like, oh, you're posting all your social presence. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I like it, and this is how I connect to people. But if they're not in this industry, they don't really understand fully, I guess.
I agree. I don't think you should ever feel ashamed for asking for work either, or self-promoting, because that's the way that the world spins.
Was that the bird?
Yeah.
Where it's
like sitting on the speaker,
on the camera,
on the mic.
Somebody's also let the cat in as well, so I'm gonna have to deal with this. Give me.
So you do. Let's hear from Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Hello, everyone.
My facial hair quota has been fulfilled.
Yeah, finally, somebody with a beard. Someone with a proper beard. Hey, Tom. Hey, John.
Yeah, nice.
Nick.
Did you know? I have to show you this. Hold on. That you now on. I never saw this before. Oh shit! Where is it?
There's been a lot of people copying me, even back in time.
So did you know that now you can add, let's see, facial hair to yourself? You see that? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. What do you think about that? And now let's go with a little D2 purple. Yeah. So we can like really jazz it up. Huh?
Wait,
Yeah,
I'm not seeing this.
Got my
okay,
full
yeah,
goatee going. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, so Snapchat now has a no beard filter. I don't know if anyone's tried this, but I showed my family.
Oh, a no beard. That's interesting.
A no beard. It basically just gives you a really fat chin. I actually videoed showing my family what I would look like with a really fat chin. It didn't go down very well.
Brilliant,
man. If you ever shave everything off, I want to get a picture. I want you to message me a picture immediately. Okay.
Yeah, it's a long time since I've been asked that, Jason.
Of your face. Please, of your face. Okay.
I think there is a certain level of self-aggrandizement. Is that the word for it? Self-aggrandizement in this industry. You know, you really do need to promote yourself and to get yourself out there. And I'm sorry, but I hate to say it, but probably none of us are really that fantastic at it. Although Jonathan, you've been doing a top job. Thank you, Nigel, and Joanna as well. Obviously, your team at We Are Inc. are also really good at doing this kind of social media stuff as well.
I'm promoting everyone else as well.
Yeah,
very true, Nigel. Nigel, you're okay. I'll give you a tick.
Well, I think actually, Josh, that the problem that the reason that is that there's probably not many companies out there who could actually afford to have someone who does this as a job. And if you really want to do it right, it's a job. And I mean,
it is an actual job. You're absolutely right, Jason. That's
I spend probably of all the D2 related stuff that I do, at least I would say 70% of it is creating stuff for posting, for promotion.
It is actually hard work, and
the rest of it is something else. But I mean, it's an insane amount of time that it takes.
I think, and on a night that we're going to discuss going into starting your own business and moving into freelancing, I think that social media has to be one of the higher things on your list of stuff to do. And I'm notoriously terrible at it. You know, I should be getting that shit out there, but I never really feel comfortable promoting myself in that kind of way. I don't really like to blow my own trumpet too much, you know.
But that's why when you have someone who's doing that for you, it changes the dynamic, because you're no longer, it's almost like you're having someone talk about you,
and that is
for you.
And that is how marketing agencies work. And if you're a studio that's assigned or partnered with a marketing agency, that's exactly how it works. And if you look at some of the studios that are actually branding agencies and not really visualization studios, you know, they're really good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So I got a question for the business owners or the employers. If you're a student these days and you're wanting to get your name out there, you wanted to come and work for VMI, and how do you go about that?
Can I ask this question, Nigel, before you even finish asking it? and you know, it is something that I always say, like, to every person that is looking for a job, would you, and it doesn't even matter if it's in this field, would you please just go out there and look for businesses that you really admire, who are doing some stuff that you think is really fucking cool, and then tailor your application and then approach them personally and say, I really like what you do because of this, and I would fit in because I'm interested in that. You know, because when I speak to loads of recruitment agents, but I would much rather employ someone that came to me and said, wow, you guys did some cool shit on that thing, and I like that, rather than someone who's like, here's Joe Blogs, who is, you know, blah, 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 and has a qualification, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff from a recruitment agent.
I would completely agree. If Ray, who's now associate, who only joined 2.5-3 years ago, so you know he's running most of our projects. He cold called me, and it's the first time I'd ever been cold called by potential, somebody wants to join the company. It's normally you get a half-arsed email, half of it spelled incorrectly, and just because they're a 3D artist, they think you don't need to write a sentence accurately. Well, you do. The other day, I got called man, and the work was great, and I just thought, no. And the work was fantastic. It's like, oh, how can I reach you? I said, oh, drop me an email. I said, it says something like, oh, thanks for the quick response, man. I was like, no. So, and a cold call, just call them up, and that shows push, it shows energy, it shows ability.
I think, by the way, Nick, I didn't see all of your presentation, but what I did see, I thought was fantastic. So thanks for that. Okay. And, BMI has been at the top of my list. As a joke back from when we were chatting back in the old days. But yeah, well, look, I think if anybody's looking to start a company, honestly, sorry, not start a company, join a company, just call the person, just call them up, just call them up. Jason, this whole fruit joke that's going on, and obviously Eric has done a fantastic job of promoting his new fantastic fruit renderer.
That is not Eric. That is actually like a distant relative of Eric, Jean-Lou. And please stop ruining our challenges, Josh. I think everybody knows it's Eric. Absolutely.
Sorry,
if you know Eric, you know it's him.
I would just like to make a heartfelt apology to Eric's cousin out there.
Yeah, any of his relatives.
I might as well just hang up.
Jason,
don't hang up.
Was it you?
I think probably about 60, 70, maybe even 80% of, because we do get a lot of cold calling emails coming into us, and I don't know where these people are getting our contact details from. And most of them are pitching interior spaces and kitchens and bathrooms and fruit bowls, as the joke used to be 10 years ago, to us, and we're a business that deal in, large scale infrastructure competition projects. And, if I ever have a bathroom to render, I've got a list of people who will be the first people I contact. And I think it's horses for courses, isn't it? You have to.
I'm sorry, but can I say that if anybody wants to see, I don't know if you guys saw this video that was made for our launch of the fruit basket challenge. It's like 3 minutes long. Can I show it? Like the video that I was sent from Jean-Loup.
Oh yeah.
Let us ask the viewers if the viewers at home want to watch this. Yes or no?
Because it's quite good.
It's very easy on this to forget the people watching, isn't it?
It's not just the 7 of us. There's actually 40 in this. But
it's true.
They all seem to have gone silent and no one's responding.
They've gone.
Then we can watch it.
Okay.
I'd like to watch it.
I logged into the 24-hour chaos thing a couple of months back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a guy with a green screen fruit face. Was it you, Jason?
Yeah, that was actually Eric's cousin. Okay, should I play this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, this is great.
I stuffed it all up, didn't I?
All right.
A tiny blue flat circle drifting slowly in an immensity of darkness. Home. There are 14 million billion species of fruit on our planet. Some are really small, like pistachio. Some are really big, like big cantaloupe. Some are red.
Should I play this thing?
Some are blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some taste great and some taste super bitter and have big They all represent the diversity and richness of nature. Humans and dinosaurs were enjoying smoothies together 20,000 years ago, and they still do these days, except the dinosaurs. But the future is rather grim and uncertain. Scientists predict that in the next 2 weeks, 98% of all the fruit species will disappear off the face of Earth. What will happen when we have no more rain? What will happen when the ice has melted? What will happen when the flames of eternal damnation burn all of us alive? Here at Navallo, we take these issues very seriously. We have invested all our passion and energy in recreating digital models of most of these fruits, so that our children and their children, 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 will one day know what a fruit salad was. Of course it will taste like nothing, because you will only see it on a screen. But life sucks, and you should get used to it at some point. Join us. Join our family and redeem yourself. Navallo, a vision of the future.
A vision of the future. I love it.
So it goes. So just wait though.
There's more, I know.
This
yeah.
is the this is the beauty of Narvalo 3D. They're very eccentric. I'm sorry, this kills me every time. I can't help it.
Brilliant.
So,
Jason, I'm a little bit concerned that you've actually got this on your desktop ready to go, just in case you might need it.
Yeah.
I'll play it for anybody who wants to see it. Yeah, but I just have to say, whoever's still hanging around watching, this is a serious. This is a real challenge.
I was going to say, Jason, have you had a chance to promote your
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
I
did that earlier.
Yeah.
I just want to say though, we would love to have as many people as possible. It is going to be extremely fun. I mean, just look at what we have, from the source material. So
what are we doing? We're downloading fruit from
Evermotion
and
provided by Evermotion. The fruit, there's a fruit basket scene provided by Evermotion to get you started.
Is this still live, or is it supposed to be some kind of abstract thing where like bananas are eating the world? Or...
we're gonna see. We're gonna find out what it's like, but it's
just that's half the fun, hey.
We're gonna do our standard, live judging. We're gonna actually, we are gonna pick winners. I mean, it's gonna be the regular thing, but it's gonna be fun. We're looking forward to it a lot. I mean, we actually have been talking about. Jean-Loup has been, talking about actually making this thing for real. So it's a work in progress.
There we go, viewers. If you want to know what software is going to be around in 10 years' time, there's something to start learning.
You heard it here first. Navallo is going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, we want to launch this, so this has to be a 3DS London launch.
Hopefully we can actually do a launch party, like a real launch party somewhere. And I guess it's going to have to be somewhere like Houston, Texas, or something like this. It can't be like it has to be in in an
New York
absolutely
or London
strange place.
is the question. So
Yeah.
or yeah, or Vienna.
No, but I'm serious. I know it sounds like
Okay,
like
so,
such a joke. We even released it on April 1st. So we were actually, people were kind of
so
like, is this a
sorry
real thing? You know, but it is. It's real.
Jason, I'm so sorry to change the subject here,
Okay.
but Nick actually had a bird on his shoulder.
He sure did. A real bird.
That's old. That's old news. We've already seen that. It was on his head
I
earlier.
didn't see that before. Is that like a normal thing, Nick?
It's
You got a blue budgerigar on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's become a normal thing. I'm not sure how used to I am. It is just never get one. Never get a parrot.
It's
Are budgies parrots?
Hey,
Are budgies parrots?
I don't even know what it is really.
It's a really small pigeon.
Yeah.
Can I jump in here? I'm just aware of the time. I think we should wrap
I was
up.
about to say that.
Let's wrap up the stream. We'll stay on and have a chat afterwards.
Can I just say thank you for letting me play that video and for letting me be here and shill this amazingly crazy ChatGPT challenge.
It's brilliant.
I appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah, of course. And thanks to everyone who showed up, everyone who watched us till the last minute as well. Yeah, and I guess we'll see you all next month, I hope. And the month after, I hope in person, but we'll see about that.
We'll see. So next month we have a special night planned with Autodesk. So we're working through some of the things we're going to show, but it's going to be lots of 2022 and lots of other things. Maybe we'll bring on some customers as well. Anything else we want to add before we wrap up? Thanks to our presenters.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. We will be, as this has been quite a long show, I don't know if anyone's following us on our YouTube channel, but we are actually editing out the presentations and posting those on, so you can actually just watch those in your lunchtime instead of
just short presentations without all of us in there.
Without the 3 hours of everything else. So thanks guys, they were really great, and we will have those up in the next few days.
Yep.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Let's sign off.